You've been mistaken about what it takes to sleep deeply and wake up happy. They told you it's about the perfect mattress, the right nutrients, the ideal routine. But if that were true, why do so many people lie in bed every night staring at the ceiling, thoughts running, peace nowhere in sight? Why do even the most successful, well-rested-looking people still feel tired on the inside? The truth is, peaceful sleep doesn't start with quiet around you. It starts with silence within. And being happy doesn't depend on things being perfect. It comes from training your mind to let go, breathe, and live in the present moment. This secret has been kept by Buddhists for hundreds of years. Not as an idea, but as something that people do. A way to make things quieter, to get rid of the urge. Not tomorrow or one day, but tonight, to feel free. Now, as you hear these lessons tonight, something will change. Those thoughts that just won't go away, they are going to slow down. The worry that usually grows, it is going to melt. Also, the stress you've had in your chest for days, the weight will go down, and it will be simpler to let go. This isn't just another song to listen to at night. It helps your mind start over. This is the way to rest that heals more than just your body. It heals your heart too. Are you ready to sleep with less weight? To really wake up alive? Let's start. As you begin to calm down, your breath will slow down and your mind will become less busy. Now we will move on to the first lesson, which is often missed because it is hidden. The outside world isn't keeping you from sleeping. It's something more private, quiet, and deep. Something that talks even when the lights are off. But what if the part of your mind that won't let go is what's keeping you awake? There's a reason why it's hard to sleep even when everything seems fine. It's dark in here. There is no longer any noise. But the mind stays inside. It sticks to what was said earlier today. It holds on to the idea of what might happen tomorrow. It sticks to what it thinks about you, how things should be, and who it thinks you are. This sticking doesn't yell. It makes a noise. It makes things tense below the surface. When the world is quiet, that stress makes your chest tighten. That's what makes your thoughts heavier than your eyes. Buddhism says that clinging is what causes pain. Attachment isn't just to things or people. It's also to identities, ideas, schedules, and goals. These people steal peace without being heard. And while holding is easy to spot during the day, it gets harder to pick out at night. Not as obvious, not as far away. The mind doesn't always agree with the body when it wants to sleep. The body needs to be still. The mind wants to be in charge. It plays back conversations, changes what happened, and goes over issues again and again. The mind does this not because it is mean, but because it is scared. Fear makes us want to hold on. The worry that you're not good enough. The fear of being lost. Being scared of losing something important. Because of these fears, we have thoughts that feel important and won't stop. However, the truth is that holding on to things never leads to an answer. Not in real life, not while you sleep. Let's find out more. What does it mean to cling? It's not being okay with the way things are. The unwillingness to let things stay unfinished, unresolved, or flawed. The subconscious mind holds on tight to things that don't feel full because it was formed over years of survival instincts. It starts its night shift right before bed, It looks for danger. It looks for mistakes. It makes wounds worse, because a part of your mind still thinks it needs to keep you safe. Something bad will happen if it lets go. But sleep is not a way to stay safe. It leaves you open. It's giving up. You have to trust it. That's why it's so hard to rest when your mind is still on the job. Getting hold of the need to fix things, to get the idea, to show something, so strong that you feel like you should be asleep by now. Think about what you do all day. You belong to someone, a partner of someone, a worker, a leader, an artist, a servant, a survivor. You have to do certain things in these jobs, and the mind holds on to them because they give us a sense of who we are. Those roles don't matter when the person is in bed, though. The mind just can't stop thinking about them. Even when it's dark, it keeps the mask on. That's why Buddhist texts talk about the self as an illusion. Not to make you stupid, but to set you free. Most of the time, the person you think you are is just a story made up of memories and thoughts. When everything is quiet, that story gets louder. If you've ever been so tired that you just couldn't fall asleep, this is why. The story never stops. At 2 a.m., it edits itself. At 3, it wonders what it all means, and at 4, it compares itself to other things. Not just not being able to sleep, it's to identify. If you're really into a story, it will be harder to fall asleep. What then can be done? In Buddhism, you don't have to fight your thoughts. It doesn't tell you to beat them or remove yourself from them. It tells you to pay attention to them, not as facts, but as clouds that come and go. To see how your mind is holding on and say, it's okay to let go now. It tells you to breathe into the present moment, not to get away from the noise, but to loosen your grip on it. There is no secret recipe here, just being there, just being aware. When you think about a regret, you know that you have one, not to judge, but to learn more about them. You recognize the need for control when it clings to a future result. If it sticks to a job or label, you remind yourself that who you are is bigger than any role or label. Also, this does sound easy. It's not easy, though, even more so in a world that teaches you to hold on, to always need more, to always be on the hunt. You can get quiet sleep that heals and restores you, but you don't have to do more first. Letting go of the need to be more is the first step. Someone wise in Buddhism once said, "Let go or be dragged." Every night we have to make that choice. Hold on tight and let your mind go through loops, or let go and slowly drift off to sleep. It's not the same as giving up to let go. It means having faith that everything that hasn't been solved will be okay, even if you don't work on it all the time. That you are not valuable because you fix every mistake, which means you don't have to know your future by dawn. It means being aware that answers don't bring peace. It's found in giving up. Consider how the body works. You don't have to tell your hand to heal after cutting it. It knows. Rest is the same way. Your body knows how to sleep. You forget how to let it happen in your mind. Each time the mind says, "We need to figure this out," sleep gets farther away. It gets darker every time it says, "Just one more thought." What if you decided not to do anything tonight? What if you just let the thoughts be? What if you stopped gripping just for a moment and noticed how the body softens when the mind steps aside? There is no need to worry about sleep here. It's about giving up power. Always keep in mind that you can't make peace happen. You let it happen. It takes years of training for Buddhist monks to learn how to let go. But the truth is that it all starts with the smallest action, being willing to stop, to get a grip on it, and to let it go, but not by force, but by being kind. Giving up is not a one-time thing. Every night they do it. A call to choose present over pressure moment by moment, to pick breath over thought, to pick being soft over trying hard. Don't worry if you find yourself grasping again, because you will. That's the way. Being aware is important. It's a win every time you notice the grip. You're making progress every time you come back to the breath. It's not important to have a great night. You can have a peaceful friendship with flaws. This doesn't just help you sleep better either. It changes the way you live. Because the clinging that keeps you up at night is also the clinging that makes you stressed out during the day. The worry about losing out, the stress to do well, the need to show, protect, or own something. You start to loosen up during the day when you learn how to do it at night. Things get easier, and happiness stops being a goal. It turns into a way of life. Let the body rest and the mind forget tonight. Take a break from the story. Let the judgment go away. Do not answer the questions. You're not your jobs. You're not your thoughts. You are the awareness that's below. Be gentle, peaceful, no cost. This is the mind that doesn't hold on anymore. Now there is peace that sleep has been dying for. Allow it to come. Allow it to carry you. Learn from it that the best rest comes not from working hard, but from letting go. It's okay if you forget tomorrow. The next night you'll remember, because the practice has now begun. Your mind now knows how to get back home. So the mind starts to get softer. As the grip loosens and the thoughts fade, a new doorway opens in the soft silence. Not a place to run away, but a place to come back to. This moment is a place you've never really left, but you forget about it all the time. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, right here, right now. When people talk about sleep, they often forget to mention something very important. Screens, caffeine, and worry are all things that people talk about avoiding, but not many people talk about what to go back to. Buddhism doesn't just say, be still, it shows you how to do it. There is no need to run away from the noise. Instead, get to know this breath, this body, and this moment. Most of all, when it matters. Not on a retreat or at a great place to meditate, but right now, before going to sleep. Because this is where your nervous system learns to calm down, when you give it your full attention, not when you try to turn it off like a switch. That attention that doesn't ask for anything, doesn't judge, and doesn't have a goal, just being there. A lot of people live in the past or the future. Thoughts lean forward even when I'm in bed. They go over plans, guess what will happen, and remember talks. The mind moves away from the present moment as if it wants to find something better or safer. As an old habit, this one seems fine, but the price is very high. The body needs to take a break. The mind wants to get ready, and sleep gets lost in that tug of war. But this is why Buddhist practice focuses on the inside, not just the thinking, but also the feelings, regarding the breath, in the body. Even though the mind can be sidetracked, the body always stays in the present. It's always here. The body teaches the mind how to stay when you train it to do so. This won't work right away. This is a restart, a change in how habits work. It means deciding to be present over and over, especially in the quiet hours when your mind wants to wander. The breath holds you steady, something to feel, not something to control or change. You can feel its weight, its beat, and the way it moves. It tells you that everything is fine right now. A little rough, not fixed, but safe, held, true. Something amazing takes place when you train your nerve system to stay in the present moment. The body gives up its fight. The chest opens. The muscles loosen up. Thoughts that usually move around like storms start to lose their power. They didn't go away. You just stop paying attention to them. This is the key. No, not pushback or suppression. Instead, redirection. A slow and gentle turn toward what is real. The breath is real. It's real that the body is pressing against the bed, the way cool the air is, the chest going up and down. These aren't small things. They lead to doors. They lead back. This is called mindfulness in Buddhist practice, and it can be used at any time, not just while meditating. Most of all the ones before bed. These are the times that more than any supplement or practice can change the way you rest. The mind is here, so the body can let go. And this isn't about being great at mindfulness. It's not about being quiet or still. It has to do with touch. Get in touch with this moment, no matter what it is, even if you still have thoughts, no matter how they feel. Being mindful doesn't mean ignoring them. It means sticking with yourself even when things are hard. It means to breathe through the pain instead of trying to fix it. This practice makes you wiser. That kind of knowledge that you can only get by living it. It is wise to know that right now is enough, and to see that all wants, regrets, and worries are just waves on the surface. Even though everything is going on, there is peace. Not because everything is fine, but because attention is full. It's not just about getting more rest. It has to do with freedom. The freedom to do what you want without being pulled by scary thoughts. The freedom not to let your day's mistakes shape who you are. The freedom to stop following the story and enjoy what's already there. The way the sheets feel, the room's soft hum, the heart beating. This understanding becomes where you live. The nervous system learns to accept that it doesn't need to get ready for a threat that isn't there over time. It doesn't need to go over the day again and again, because it doesn't have to do anything for the present moment. It's not asking for a response. It's just making room. That's where healing takes place. The hormones change. The muscles relax. Now that there is nothing to fight, the body starts to heal itself. No due date to rush to. No name to keep up. Take a deep breath. Just being there. Peace only. A lot of people try to sleep better by adding more rules, habits, or hacks. But the Buddhist path encourages taking away. It doesn't need more work, just less pushback. Not more things to do, but more peace and quiet. There should be more awareness, not more information. You bring your attention back every time it wanders. Not too badly, not because you're angry, but like how you would lead a kid back to safety, with warmth, willing to wait, with love. That's how things are done, over and over. The body learns that the present moment is safe over time, that it doesn't need to get ready for tomorrow in order for tonight to be fine, that even if the mind stops, the breath will keep going, that sleep isn't a prize for getting things done, it's a gift we get when we stop trying to get things done. Something changes when you fall asleep in the present. Do not be a problem that needs to be fixed. You turn into a peaceful being. The stickers don't stay on. The pressure goes away. And in its place, there was stillness. Still being aware. Take a short break. There will also be nights when the thoughts are too loud, when the body is in a hurry, when you feel like your mind may wander. It's all right. Still, come back. Not to perfect silence, but to presence that isn't quite right. The practice isn't about being in charge of the present, it's about getting it. Even if it's a mess, even if it's loud, even if it hurts. This is because the nervous system learns every second you stay. Time slips away from you every time you come back. In the end, rest doesn't feel like something you earn. It feels like it was always there, waiting for you when you got home. People who live quiet lives aren't always the most happy. They are the ones who are most noticeable. They are the ones who don't run away from the present, but instead run into it. Who don't rest because they've finished everything, but because they have enough. Tonight, just enjoy this moment. Take this breath in and out. As you fall asleep, let the present moment hold you. You can't be anywhere else. There's nothing else to fix. Just this. That's enough. When you get used to being present, when your breath becomes your resting place and your body stops fighting the present moment, a greater truth starts to come to the surface. You don't go to sleep at night. It starts during the day. The way we live each day plants the seeds of rest. It's not often chance what the mind takes into the dark. It is formed by what people want. Karmic forces have shaped it. A lot of people get karma wrong. A lot of people think it's some kind of strange cosmic justice system, like a scoreboard in the sky. But in Buddhism, karma just means what you do. In particular, behavior that is done on purpose. What is said, done. Even what is thought. Every moment of will is a cause, and every cause leads to something. Thoughts that race through your head at night, restlessness that won't go away, and chest pain are not just visitors. They sound like the day, the unconsciously happening things. They made snap decisions, the pushed down emotions. The words were said too quickly, the ones that were never said. These things don't go away when the sun goes down. They stay in the body. The nerves are where they wait. They knock on the door just as I'm getting ready for sleep. Not in the dark or in quiet, but in the light. This is where real peace starts. Intent that is clear. Hearts that are clear. It's easy to find safety at night when you've spent the day being kind, honest, and present. The mind stays busy long after the body wants to rest, though, when the day is full of pushback, reactivity, or misalignment. Unresolved feelings don't go away. It is saved. Not where everyone can see, but in quiet places. Thoughts hum in the background, in the way that the jaw is tight. When the room is quiet, the heart beats quickly. A lot of people don't know it, but they bring all the emotional stress of their day to bed with them. The body knows, though. It keeps track. In Buddhism, right deed, right speech, and right thought are so important because of this. These aren't just moral lessons. These lessons are useful for making peace. Your heart is light when you do good things. Your mind can relax when your heart is happy. And when you let go of your thoughts, sleep comes easily. Purposeful action is what guides us. That doesn't mean perfect. Being aware of your influence as you go through the day is what it means. It means being aware of the way you say things, the reasons why you do what you do. To do this, you have to think before you move and pick the path that does the least amount of harm, not just to other people, but also to yourself. Because every angry moment, every lie, and every small act of harm has an effect on more than one person. It turns into noise inside. It makes the mind feel bad. It changes your peace. It may be hard to see during the day, but it stands out at night when things are quiet. There's a reason why monks think about what they did all day, every night. It's not to be harsh on them. It's to make people aware, to clean the slate on the inside, to admit when you're wrong, to enjoy being kind, and to let go. It's not just monks who do this. Anyone who wants to sleep well should read this. Pay attention to how you treat other people. Did you pay attention when you spoke? Did you hear everything? Did you always be honest, even when it was hard? These things are important. They form how you feel when you're finally by yourself, not because you need to be perfect. And sleep is the most honest conversation with yourself. Even when the lights are off, the thought won't rest if it is full of guilt, anger, or avoidance. It's going to stir. It will play again. It will try to get answer that was never given. Those are the wheels of karma in action, not punishment, but motion. And momentum is hard to stop once it's been built. This is why ethics in Buddhism are not hard rules. They are tools. Tools for mental clarity. Tools for avoiding the mental clutter that builds throughout the day. Tools that protect not just others, but your own peace. And it's not just about big acts. It's about the minor ones. When you feel jealous, compare yourself to others, or criticize yourself. These are also seeds. They also grow roots if you put them a lot. Roots that get tangled up in your nerves, whisper in the dark, and make your heart a little wary. The good news is that karma can be cleared, just like it is made, by being aware of, by giving forgiveness, because of desire, right now too, before going to sleep. First, ask yourself, what am I still carrying from today? What sense of sorrow, tension, or unfinished business is still ringing in my head? Not to think about it, to see it, that you hold it gently. Being aware is the first step to getting clean. Then ask yourself, what can I let go of? It's not because it didn't matter, it's because it's no longer useful. This is how karma gets better, not by punishing them, through kindness. This is where being clear about ethics comes in. The mind doesn't have to fight as much at night when you live in line with what feels true and kind. Not as much to defend, not as much to hide, not as much noise. That's the place where rest can grow. But when you try to avoid things during the day, the night is when you have to face them. The thoughts come back. My heart is heavy. The mind gets antsy, not because it wants to be mean, but because it wants to find an answer, for comfort, to keep the peace. Before you go to sleep, ask yourself what needs to be closed. What did they not say sorry for? What truth did not get told? What emotion was not allowed? These are the things that get tangled up in your dreams. These are the weights that the body has when it is at rest. When you follow Buddhism, you don't have to be perfect. You need to be awake for it. Being aware of your choices, pay attention to your habits, be aware of how your position in the world affects other people. Things change when you become aware of something, even if it's just the beginning. And here's a beautiful thing. You can change your fate every day. Forget about the past, but don't do it again. To pick order over chaos. Truth is better than comfort. Kindness is better than pride. As you do this, the night starts to feel different. Not as a way to get away. It didn't fall apart, but as a reward. A coming back to yourself. A return to comfort. A return to a heart that doesn't have to carry too much. Philosophical talk is not this. It is smart in a useful way. It's what turns being nervous into being still. What makes getting sleep a gift instead of a chore. This is what makes peace feel like it was won, not by working hard, but by being honest. Every little honest thing you do during the day takes away a pain in the night. Every time you show kindness, the pillow gets softer. Every time you choose to be present instead of reacting, you make a bed that is not only comfortable, but also clear. There you have it for the day. It sets the tone for the rest of the night. No, not as a penalty, not as a prize, but as a thought. You don't have to fix all of your mistakes tonight. Now you can plant new seeds, though. Seeds of being there, of letting go. Careful. You don't have to feel bad about looking back on your day. You can do it with knowledge. You can say, I'll keep this. I'm going to change this. I will let go of this. The nerve system sighs when you do that. The heart lets go. The breath gets deeper. There is no longer any weight from the day. It's been seen. It's been held. It can now be put down. Not at the end of the trip, but every moment, every breath. That's how peace is built, at least until sleep is a practice in freedom, until the night is no longer a place to run away, but a peaceful place, until your rest feels like a reflection of the life you're making, one that is clear, full of purpose, and present. Let go of what hasn't been fixed tonight. Believe that being aware is enough. Believe that things will become clear. Trust that your rest will change as your fate does. Nothing sleeps better than a heart that is at ease. Now that you are more aware of the day's weight, your heart is better, and your nervous system is calmer, there is room for something deeper. Stress and mental chatter aren't the only things that people feel. Everyone also feels fear. Not the fear of the dark or the unknown, but the fear of not being able to handle things. The fear of giving up everything. People's fears affect not only how they live, but also how they sleep. And this next practice takes that fear right on the chin. Sleep isn't just a break from the day. Buddhists see it as a micro-death or a small giving up and going into the unknown. It gets less aware every night. Identity stops. Things get out of hand. Stillness is all that's left. Being empty. Room. But because so many people don't want to give up, sleep feels like a fight instead of a release. The truth is that the part of the mind that doesn't want to sleep is also the part that fears death. People are afraid of many things, not just ending. They are afraid of going away, not being in charge, and not knowing what will happen next. That's why this lesson isn't about how to sleep well. It has to do with a big change inside. It asks the mind to see rest not as something that needs to be done or as something that is annoying. This is a practice run for the biggest letting go that any of us will ever have. Not in a scary way. It's not scary at all, but it felt good to be free. Before this change, sleep feels like losing consciousness. After this change, sleep feels like coming back to peace. Buddhism says that holding on to things is what makes us suffer. When you cling to yourself, you believe that there is a real I who needs to be awake, doing, and planning all the time. It's not sure how to rest that part. It doesn't know how to give up. But when the false sense of self starts to fade, so does the fear of being still. The mind doesn't see sleep as a threat anymore. It sees it as a way out. Getting rid of stress, roles, and the responsibility of being in charge. The way you let go is a skill. It needs to be trained. The clock telling you it's time for bed doesn't make it happen. It takes place when the mind is open to letting the moment carry it. When one breath is enough. When you stop chasing your thoughts and let them go. When the story no longer needs the idea of me to keep going. Because of this, some Buddhist cultures tell monks to think about death, not to be afraid of it, but to get close to it, to break down the walls around it. The moment you stop being afraid of death is the moment you can rest easily. It's no longer something you can fight, you can trust it. The ego is told to leave every night, and every night it fights back. Let me figure out one more thing, it says. I'll take care of this. The thoughts keep going even when the body is ready because of this. Let me show I'm still in charge because they haven't given up yet. But what if giving up wasn't a sign of weakness? What if it was smarts? What if letting go didn't mean the end of awareness, but the start of a greater kind of awareness, the kind that lives below the noise? That type of person doesn't need to hold on to feel safe. That's what this habit leads to. The peaceful trust that letting go doesn't mean falling, it means flying. You don't have to wait until you go to sleep to start exercising. It begins now. In the middle of your breath, right now, you stopped thinking that you had to be in charge. No longer do you feel like you have to know what will happen next. Right now, you let go of the need to fix anything. Fear doesn't rise in that place. Openness does. Interested. Peace. The way Buddhists sleep is different in this way. It does not help the mind take charge of rest in any way. It lets the mind be free from having to handle anything. It shows that giving up is not a loss. Being wise in this way is more advanced. And yes, you need to work on this. Mind will rebel at first. Who will think about this if I don't? It will ask. It will fight the idea that someone else can rest without its permission, but the mind learns from the body over time. Don't hold this, the body tells the mind. You don't have to carry this. You're safe. This turns into the new beat. Giving up doesn't happen all at once. It takes place in layers. First, stop thinking, then letting go of everything. Then letting go of who you are. That is, until all that is left is pure awareness, which doesn't need to do anything. Yes, that is sleep. Not just being asleep, but completely relaxed. And when this starts to feel normal, something amazing starts to happen. Stress lessens even during the day, because you can use the same skill during the day that you do at night. You learn to stop, let go, and not fight what's happening. It's less about holding on and more about moving through life. The body is not the enemy of sleep in this way. It's the teacher. There are times when the shoulders drop. Each time, the breath gets slower. All the time, the eyes close slowly instead of tightly. These are signs that you are able to let go. People remember that submission, being able to speak the language of rest with ease. Still, it's okay if some nights feel worse. That's not a fail. That is a lesson. It's not always hard to let go. Sometimes it feels like having layers of fear and control taken off. Both are correct. They are both practice. But that's not the point. Being there is the point. You shouldn't be afraid of sleep if you see it as a form of death. Instead, you should feel free in it. Because in Buddhism, death is not the end. There is a change, a comeback, moving into something bigger than yourself. In a way, sleep is a look into that truth. You come back every night, you break apart, you wake up. That return is lovely, because it makes the wrong ideas about who you are go away. There is no longer any pressure. The stories stop. The real you is now left, not the name, not the part. The quiet witness, on the other hand, has no wants and no fears. Tonight, let go like it's holy. Let go like it's a good thing. You're not running away from something. You're finally coming home. Place to keep things that don't need fixing, where peace already exists. Welcome to the still part of you that has been waiting all along. It's not just a better way to sleep. It makes life better, with not as much pushback, with more faith, with bravery that gives in to the night instead of fighting it. That means, I don't need to handle this. Right now, I don't need to be anyone. I need to let go. Because there is no secret to getting a good night's sleep. It's not a plan. It's because of a friendship where you give up things, having something to do with death. A friendship that is calm. And a strong friendship makes you love and rest better. You pay more attention. You have a better life. Since you don't fear the breaks anymore, you don't fear the quiet anymore, you don't fear letting go anymore. So let this moment be your small death tonight. Let it be the place where all the useless things end up, where your mind wanders, where roles fall away, when there is no longer a need for power. Take a deep breath. Nothing but space. Just let go. Life doesn't end with sleep. It's a part of it. Also, giving up is not the opposite of having power. It is the best form of it. Now, let go. Not after. Not when you are tired. Now let go. Feel what's been waiting for you the whole time. More peaceful than sleep. A freedom that can't be limited. A silence that holds everything, even though it doesn't have to. When the body starts to release its grip, when the mind stops pushing and instead opens to stillness, something else becomes possible. A new kind of warmth rises, not from the outside, but from deep within. The kind that makes you feel better, the kind that makes your chest feel better, the kind that changes how sleep feels in a quiet way. It's strong to let go, but when you combine it with kindness, especially before bed, it changes everything. So many nights are ruined, not by what's going on outside, but by internal issues that haven't been dealt with. Not smooth. Stress. A weight in the heart that stays with you all day. It might not always be clear what's making it happen. An argument, a feeling of guilt, an unexpected return of an old memory. You don't have to make these loud to wake you up. The nervous system can't fully settle down if there is even a small amount of mental static. The body might be worn out, the breath might feel calm, but true rest is still out of reach if the heart is still tight. That's why the next lesson is important. Metta, which stands for loving kindness, is not just a daily meditation for Buddhists. When done in the stillness of the night, it turns into a routine that can gently get rid of the emotional junk that keeps you from falling asleep. It doesn't need any work or shouting. Being honest is all it asks for, and the readiness to show kindness to yourself, others, and everything else, even if it's just in your mind. That gift turns into the light that makes the day softer. Being kind doesn't depend on being perfect in this way. It's not a reward. You can choose. This means, I choose to end today with peace no matter what happened. It's not to forget about mistakes, but to heal the hurts they leave behind. This kind of kindness isn't too emotional. It's strong. It doesn't wait until it's ready. Everything doesn't have to be fine. It just picks care over conflict, over and over. Begin with yourself. Before you reach out, you should start by looking inward. Accept what is true for you right now, even if it means changing something. Then say in your head, "May I be peaceful. I hope you rest well. May I forgive what needs forgiveness. These are not affirmations. May I feel safe tonight." These things are gifts. You're not forcing a thought to come up. You're just making room for it to do so. Now, think of someone you love, someone who makes you feel good. Think of them gently and without any expectations. Say the same thing to them. May you be at peace. Have a good rest. May you be happy. May your heart be at ease. Let the words fall into the silence like drops in still water. Not exciting, being honest. Giving the same kind of goodwill to someone you disagree with is the harder part now, not to agree with what they did. Don't forget how it hurt, but to get away from its hold, because emotional stress, even when it's reasonable, is bad for you when it lasts too long. So don't hold it overnight. Instead, let it go. Say, "May you be peaceful. Have a good rest. May you be free from suffering." Not because they earned it, but because you deserve peace. And finally, show the same kindness to everything else, both known and hidden. Two kinds of animals, friend and stranger. Let the limit of your care stretch beyond the personal. Let it become universal, because deep down, every being wants the same thing: to keep safe, to not feel any pain, to sleep without being scared. And holding that wish, even if it's just in your mind, makes your heart start to open up to more than just yourself. It doesn't have to take a long time to do this. It is okay to be not perfect. It does, however, become a signal to the nervous system that it's safe to relax the more you do it. That there isn't a battle tonight. That your heart and mind work together. In Buddhism, this is called developing good mental states. There are states that make you less reactive, less resistant, and get your mind ready for deep rest. This is a great habit because it works even when your day was crazy, even when feelings are mixed up, even if you don't feel like being nice. Because you can't force a mood, you have to pick a way. Moving the heart slowly toward peace, even if it's only a little, that's enough. This practice builds emotional muscle memory over time. The heart gets used to getting softer. It gets easier for the mind to forget. It gets safer to sleep in the body, because you don't have to carry the weight of reacting anymore. You're not bringing grudges under the sheets. You're not blaming yourself for mistakes you can no longer change. You just got here, present, kind and caring, all set to rest. It's not just about other people either. Giving yourself loving kindness every night changes the way you talk to yourself. The voice that used to be critical starts to quiet down. The tension of unmet expectations starts to melt. And instead of feeling behind, broken or overloaded when you go to sleep, you feel held. There is a pattern here. Not to avoid, but to gently settle things. Every night, there is a break where mending can happen, not through force, but through forgiveness. Not by thinking things through, but by being kind. The thoughts may still go off, people may still feel bad, but when loving kindness is around, they lose their power, they get softer, they get through. To back this up, there is also science. Studies have shown that compassion-based practices lower cortisol, regulate heart rate, and activate areas of the brain linked with empathy and emotional regulation. But beyond science, there is the quiet truth you feel in your body when you practice it. The lightness in the chest, the warmth in the belly, the feeling of being okay, even if nothing outside has changed. In this way, sleep is once again holy. It's not just something to do between other things that need attention, but a way to end that respects your humanity. That says, that was enough for today. I was enough. Now I'm going to rest. Even though it seems like a small thing, being kind at the end of the day is a big deal. In a world that values speed, noise, and judgment, taking a moment to offer love, even if it's just in silence, is a bold return to what really matters. And if you do this every night before bed, sleep will feel less like a flight and more like coming home. Peace will come back. Going back to safety, a return to the link. Keep it easy. Don't think about it too much. You don't have to make your thoughts perfect. Just close your eyes. Let the breath soften. And softly say to yourself, may I rest well. May other people rest well. May we all be free from pain. That should be the heart's last word before it goes to sleep. Make that the beat that gets you through the night, not a story, not a problem. There was only a quiet wave of kindness moving outward. Because being kind makes room for silence, and being still makes room for rest. In that place, sleep is not only possible, it's normal. Let kindness be the last thing you do tonight, as your breath slows down and your body melts into the bed. There is peace, even though some things are still open, not because everything is over. That's what this exercise gives you. That's the way in to rest. That's where we'll go next. And once kindness has eased the heart and taken away the weight of the day, something else starts to show itself. Something still moves, even when there is silence, when the body is calm, and when judgment is gone. Thoughts. Not just thoughts, but thoughts that come quickly. Thoughts that act like they're more important now than all day. Here's the next trick, which is one of the most effective and toughest to spot. The false belief that all of your worries about going to sleep must be fixed right now. It starts off slowly. There is one thought that comes in as a gentle warning. Then another one comes next, this one a little louder and heavier. Soon, the mind starts going around and around in circles, playing back talks, make plans for tomorrow, making up problems that didn't exist previous to now. It always feels so real, important, and right now. However, this is where the trap starts. This is where your thoughts are. The lie sounds like a need to act quickly. Buddhism teaches that the mind is very good at making things seem like they are not real. It's set up to protect, not because it's bad, to get ready, in charge of. It doesn't know how to rest, though. And at night, when there's nothing else to do, the mind goes inside. It brings up old stories. It makes new worries. The voice inside starts to sound like truth when no one else is around to question it. But not every thought is truth. You don't have to pay attention to every thought. Not at all, especially before bed. Realizing that urgent does not mean important is one of the most powerful changes. It's not true just because your mind tells you to think about this now. The mind is just trying to stay in charge. Thoughts are very good at what they do. They are in the spotlight. The way they make you feel is different. They make you believe that you can't sleep until the problems are fixed. It has never fixed a problem, though, to play it again at midnight. There is no clarity in what is happening. It's just thought noise dressed up as something important. This kind of anxiety is called a craving in Buddhism, needing to be in charge, needing to know for sure, looking for an answer. But here's the paradox. The mind gets more jumbled when it wants to find an answer. Like putting your hand on water and trying to make it smooth, the harder you try, the more waves you make. This is where being aware comes in. Not to stop having thoughts, not to fight them, but to really see them, to watch as the mind makes up a lie, as in, here you are again. Just noticing that brief moment of clarity is powerful, since it breaks the dream. It takes your mind off of how important it is right now. Some thoughts are loud, but don't mean anything. They sound like plans, but they're just loops. They sound like intelligence, but they're really just old fear in new words. They sound like common sense, but they're just habits. You can find a new kind of peace when you start to understand this. Not the kind that comes from solving your thoughts, but the kind that comes from not believing them. The mind tells stories. It needs to keep busy. It wants to be useful. But being smart and helpful are not the same thing. And wise people know when to stop. Wisdom knows when to say, "This can wait." It also knows that coming up with new ideas when you're tired will never bring peace. And this knowledge gets better with use. You slowly shift your attention every time you notice a thought, acting like it needs to be dealt with right away. Let's go back to the breath. Let's go back to how the body feels. Let's go back to the safety of this moment, not to get away, but to stay put. Since this is a real time, we are just having this thought. This turns into a habit over time. The mind will keep making up lies. That's how it works. You no longer get caught in them, though. You don't think about every thought until it ends. You can see it. You take deep breaths. You come back, over and over. Thoughts are not the enemy is a Buddhist saying. It's believing them without questioning them. Thoughts that act like they need to be dealt with right away often have emotional hooks. Feeling guilty, stress, feel bad. These feelings aren't problems, they're signs. They are telling you that your mind is trying to fix something that can't be fixed right now. It's not because you can't, but not now. It's not the right time. You can't fix things at night. It's for how you feel, for softening, for dissolving the stress that's been stored all day. When you try to fix things from that stressed place, your mind gets all muddy. Give it what it really needs, which is space, not words. At first, it might feel hard. Thoughts will not go away. They'll scream. They'll talk. They'll try every trick. But the more you stay in the moment, the less they can hold on to you. They might still come up, but they don't make the night what it is anymore. When you watch the show, you don't act in it. And sometimes thoughts that seem important right now are just feelings that want to be heard. Having the thought, "What if this goes wrong?" is often fear. It says, "Why did they say that?" Hurts most of the time. When someone says, "I need to fix this now," they often feel useless. Thoughts lose their power when they meet emotions. When you let the feeling be, the need to act quickly starts to fade. Buddhism tells you to take a soft look, not with a verdict, not when you fight back, but with good eyesight. Keep an eye on your thoughts and try to keep you safe. To softly thank it and choose not to follow. This isn't a lie, it's smart, because real peace isn't not having any thoughts at all. It's not being attached to them. So, what can you do when you need to get to bed quickly? Start by taking deeper breaths. Allow your shoulders to drop. Being slow tells your body, there is no need to rush. Let the stomach get softer. Let go of the jaw. To calm the mind, say, "I hear you." We don't need to do this right now, though. Not a fight, not a problem. Only give me permission to pause. You do the same thing if the mind comes back, over and over. This repeated activity is what trains you. This helps the mind learn that it's not a good time to solve problems at night. Now is the time to rest, and that word gets through in the end. Thoughts become less loud. It loses its power to be urgent, and it's safe to sleep again. Thoughts that won't go away can't live without your attention. When you stop giving them food, they go away. They get smaller when you stop believing everything they say. There is only place left, room to breathe, a place to heal, a place to sleep. It's not just about rest either, it's about living. Because the skills you learn here will help you at work. When ideas come to you quickly at work, when fear comes to the door, when the earth moves too quickly, you'll know how to stop, how to look, how to let go. You don't have to shut down your mind tonight if it starts to play theater again. All you have to do is stop cheering. Let the scene happen. Let your thoughts come out. You, on the other hand, must remain still. You, as the present, stay put. And in the silence, a new truth comes to light. The thought was never important. There was always peace here. Allow your thoughts to come. Allow them to leave. Keep your breath steady. Make the body soft. Now is a good time to remember that haste is just another story. Rest is the real thing. Rest is what you need. The only thing you can get is rest. Let it come now. Don't try to silence the mind. Let it be quieted by being heard. Let the need for speed fade into silence. Let the night get its peace back. Because giving up is the most important thing right now. And letting go is the most powerful thought there is. When the mind is clearly seen as a restless storyteller instead of an enemy, its false sense of urgency is revealed, and a new insight slowly starts to rise. Maybe it's not just that the mind is noisy that makes it hard to sleep. Maybe there's a deeply held belief behind it all. If you believe this, it means that you believe all of your problems must be fixed before you can rest. Every feeling needs to be understood. Before the body can go free, every story has to have a happy finish. But what if that thought is wrong? There is nothing to fix in this next lesson. It's about unlearning something that was taught in silence, done over and over again because it's habit and made stronger by stress. It's thought that peace can't come before settlement, the myth that you need to be closed off in order to rest. And I really believe this. So deep that the mind keeps looking for an ending even when you're physically and mentally worn out and want to sleep badly. One more answer, one more thing to consider. Just one more answer, and I'll finally feel whole. But Buddhism offers something completely different. It doesn't teach that getting rid of all problems will bring happiness. Learning to let go of the need to fix everything is the key to peace. It changes the way the mind sees life, not as a puzzle to be solved, but as a flow to be entered, a steady beat to depend on, a fact that you can give up. The main idea behind this is that things change. Things change. Every thought, every feeling, all the time. And if everything is always changing, then there is no such thing as closure. Since nothing stays still long enough for the door to close, things that seem to be stopping today might start up again tomorrow. What makes sense tonight might not make sense in the morning. This is not a fail. This is how life works. And when you fully understand this truth, something inside you changes. There is no longer a need to end things at night. It's smart to not know everything. There is peace in not being done. It is possible to find peace in the midst of change, because our minds aren't made to neatly end things. It's made to change, to move, to show up. And the heart isn't meant to hold all of our unresolved feelings like a collection of unfinished books. It's made to let go and feel. At this point, non-attachment is more than just an idea. It becomes a practice. When the feelings and stories come up at night, you meet them with kindness, not to fix, but to let them happen. You tell yourself, this is also part of the flow, and you believe that what hasn't been solved yet doesn't need to be. You trust that things will become clear even if they don't right away, but you can still take a break. Everything you've learned goes against this. The world says you need to end the talk. You need to find the end. You need to understand your feelings before you can let them out. Buddhism, on the other hand, says that sometimes the most honest thing to do is to not know. That letting a feeling go without making a story out of it is sometimes the best way to respect it. That peace isn't always on the other side of the answer. Sometimes it's right here when you don't need one. This doesn't mean staying away from life. It means having faith in life. That you know not every question has to be answered tonight. The fact that some things can stay open. That getting better doesn't always happen in neat steps. It can happen in silence sometimes. Taking a breath. In the present. When you decide to stop spinning and just feel. People who want peace often want to be in charge, a way to keep yourself safe from confusion. Life is the only thing that is certain, though, And learning how to rest without making a decision is the most freeing thing you can do. Giving up the need for closure doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to stop hurting yourself by leaving loops unfinished. It means you know that some knots get tighter when you pull on them. You won't find peace by pulling harder. You'll find it by letting go. It's not lazy to do what Buddhist masters say and leave the question unanswered. It takes guts. It's grown up. Being aware that some answers only come up when they are no longer needed. Some wounds heal on their own if they aren't touched every night. So, this habit turns into a choice to trust instead of arguing with the mind. To say, you are safe now, even though this isn't finished. This doesn't have to be finished for me to rest. Or, this moment is enough, even though it's not over yet. Our nerve systems change when this is no longer just words, but real, felt truth. The breath gets deeper. The muscles loosen up. Since the stress is gone, the stress of having to figure it out, the stress of having to be fine, the stress of having to get everything done before dawn, gone. You're not a story that needs to end. You are a being on the verge of becoming, and sleep isn't a reward for feeling better. As people, we do it all the time, a part that you deserve, even though you're a mess, even with the questions you ask, even though it hurts. In fact, some of the most restful nights come not from clarity, but from submission, from saying, I don't know, and that's okay, to, this doesn't feel finished, but I'll rest anyway, to, I will stop looking for closure and start trusting space. This trust is going to be your new base. Not have faith in certain results. Do not believe that all issues will be resolved on their own, but have faith in the process. Believe that emotions move you, those thoughts go away, that life goes on. You can stay asleep even while life is going on around you. Tonight, when you lie down, don't push away thoughts of things you didn't finish. Don't think about it. Just accept it gently. Say hello. Say thank you. And let it pass like a wave. Trust that you are allowed to sleep before it's settled. Trust that rest doesn't depend on getting things done. Trust that ending things won't stop the peace from coming. This is how to get along with the night, not by making it make sense, by letting it be what it is, though. A place to calm down, a place to breathe, a place to trust things that don't make sense yet. This habit changes more than just your nights over time. It changes how you deal with everything in life. You start to understand that peace doesn't always come at the end of a job. It's in the middle of everything, in the middle of your happiness, in the middle of your sadness, in the middle of your thoughts that you haven't said, always there for you, everywhere. That's fine if tonight feels like it's not quite over, if the story is still a mess, if the feeling is still loud, if the thoughts are still moving around. You don't have to shut them up. You don't have to figure them out. Getting caught is enough for you. Allow them to float. Give them a break. And you rest too. Because ending things doesn't bring rest. Trust is. Being non-attached is. Being here without having to control takes quiet courage. That's where the door is. That's the peace. That's where the night starts. Hold on to it now, the way you are. Not finished, but still enough. Now that the need for closure has finally been released and the mind isn't searching for unfinished solutions all night, a new truth starts to come to the surface. It's not just the worry of the day or unfinished business that keeps you from sleeping. It's the deeper cycle that makes it so. A circle from a long time ago. A pattern that wasn't made in one night, but is woven into everything that exists. This is where we meet samsara. In Buddhist teaching, samsara is not simply a world or a place. It is the experience of wandering. Wandering through thoughts, wandering through wants, wandering through pain. It's the cycle of wanting and not wanting, of holding on and not wanting, of hope for something different from what is here. This cycle happens over and over again, every night on the pillow. The thoughts keep going around, the heart keeps going, the body doesn't relax. Not because of what's going on in the room, but because of what's going on inside the cycle. To sleep deeply is more than just lying down. It has to do with spirit. You take a step away from the wheel at that moment, when you stop trying, where the looking stops, where you can't run or chase anything. But this can only happen if samsara is clearly seen, not as a mysterious idea, but as the pattern that makes people unhappy. Every thought that says, "right now isn't enough," is samsara. Everything that makes you want to fix things or run away is samsara. Compare, worry, hold on to memories, and fear the future. These are what keep the wheels going. And if you try to sleep while you're in them, your mind stays awake, your body stays tight, and the night turns into just another place to suffer. That's why Buddhism doesn't teach how to run away. It teaches you to wake up. Not freedom from pain, but freedom from the wrong idea that you have to chase peace. In samsara, that idea keeps it going. After getting this one thing, it says, "You'll rest." But then something else shows up. One more. And so the circle goes on. Stopping the wheel is not the way out. To step off of it. Not by working hard, but by being clear. By being still, you can see that none of it leads where it says it will. Wanting doesn't stop wanting. Control doesn't create peace. Striking doesn't bring peace. Something changes when that is seen, not just thought. The grabbing stops. The spinning slows down. Rest comes after it. You don't have to force this kind of rest. It's not the kind that you can trick your body into through hacks or habits. Rest is what you get when you have nothing else to do, when the chance is no longer turned down, when being present can't be put off any longer, when peace is no longer put in a future that never comes. And this is why sleep becomes a message, because it shows samsara as it really is, without any filters. The mind tries all the old tricks when it's dark. It tries to play back, control, label, and run. It doesn't work at all. The same thoughts loop, the same pain is still there, up until you give up, until you say, "Let it be, allow it to go, let it go away." And in that moment, samsara weakens. Not broken up, not taken over, just not in charge anymore. You don't have to hide your feelings or act like you don't care about this. It means letting go of the need to meet everyone's needs before peace can happen, about how things don't have to be perfect before stillness is accepted, about how every feeling doesn't have to be spelled out before the heart can soften. If you understand samsara well, pain seems less like a problem and more like a pattern. And once it's seen as a habit, it can be stepped out of. Not ran away from, but stopped following orders. No longer thought, no longer kept an eye on through every uneasy part of the night. The teachers often describe this as the end of becoming. The end of always having to be someone, go somewhere, fix something. The end of thinking all the time. When samsara is stopped, sleep turns into that stillness which is pure, open, and living. It doesn't mean you become cold or distant. In fact, the reverse is true. You become more aware when you break the cycle of craving, kindness, more alive, because you don't have to worry about making everything different anymore. You don't have to run away to feel. You can think without having to follow. You can rest without getting it. And so the practice becomes one of awareness. You lie down and you feel the urge to think, to make plans, so as to judge. You don't try to stop it. You only notice it. It's like, this is also samsara, and you don't have to do anything else. Fixing is not necessary. You don't need to fight back. You can take a break. It takes away the cycle's power to be seen. It's like playing the same game over and over again. There is no longer any thrill. The story doesn't hold together. It makes you smile. You can bow down to it. You don't have to join, though. And if the thoughts come back, which they will, you will deal with them in a different way. No, not as enemies, not as important jobs, but as reminders of a pattern you don't feed anymore. You let them get up, you let them go, and you come back, not to quiet, but to being aware, not to perfection, but to being there. In this state, you sleep through samsara, not making it look like everything is fine, not having to wait for everything to be fixed. How to rest while the wheel turns, though. Figuring out how to sleep without going crazy is important. Being able to stay rooted in silence, even when your mind wants to jump around. And the more this is done, the more it seeps into everyday life. You can move through the day with less anger when you are as clear as you are at night. You can get through tough situations in the light with the same freedom that lets you break out of thought loops in the dark. Because samsara is more than just sleepless nights. It lives in habits, responses, speech, and the need to find one's own identity. But being aware follows you around. It changes everything once it's trained. Let sleep be the first thing you do. Use the night as a place to practice, not to direct or perform, but to let go, to keep watch, to take off, making soft. After that, let that stillness spread. Good morning. Into the talks you have, based on your choices. When you become aware, the cycle stops, not with resistance. Not by ending samsara, but by stopping giving it fuel. In that case, rest isn't hard to come by. It becomes how you normally are, not a break from stress, but a place you can go back to whenever you want. Tonight should be that return. Do what you have to do and stay still. Let samsara spin. You pay attention. Stay with the breath that doesn't chase, the body that doesn't grasp, and the heart that doesn't have to be solved. This is how you stop being in samsara and sleep. Not to get away, but to get clear. Not by putting the wheel back together, but by leaving it. And once you're outside, you begin to see that peace was never something far away. It was right here, under the noise, below the desire, waiting, always ready. So you can see, to stop, to give you a break. The wheel of samsara has slowed down, and the restless motion has been seen and let go of. What's left is something much more personal. Not a great thought, not an idea that makes sense, but soft. Right away, not visible at all. The air, the space between the breaths is even more important. The silence that lasts in the empty space between breathing in and breathing out. The little space, the pause that was missed, that pause between breaths. This is not a lack, it's an opening, a moment when time slows down, where you can stop thinking, where there is no effort. It's not something made, it's already there, ready to go, always there, but not often seen, because the mind is usually on the breath, following its rise and fall, speed and beat like a wave. Not only should you follow your breath, but you should also rest in the space between breaths. These breaks are holy in Buddhist breath meditation. They're not empty spaces. They are presence without being identified, being aware without a story, stillness without trying. And when you start to rest in them, something starts to fall apart naturally, not through force or study. Noise in the mind can't last long in silence. And this kind of silence doesn't have any edges. It doesn't stick or fight back. It is what it is. The breath in comes. Then there was quiet. Then the breath out. Then there was quiet again. Every pause is a calming down, a landing, or a warning. There is no need to add anything. There is nothing that needs to be fixed. During the break, everything has time to settle down. This behavior doesn't need to be controlled. You don't have to hold your breath. You need to pay attention to what's already there. The breath moves, and there is room between each one. People often miss this place because their minds are moving too fast. As you breathe in and out, it jumps from the past to the future. But there's nothing to ask of the pause. It has everything. It's the best form of rest. This method is a safe place to be at night, when everything is quiet and your thoughts try to take over again. Not because it forces the mind to be quiet, but because it gives the mind a place to rest deeper. Something not as loud as thought. Better than trusting your feelings, more stable than being in charge. It's not exciting when there is quiet between breaths. It doesn't make itself known. That's why it works so well. It lets you get to the part of you that isn't trying to be anything. The part that is already there. The part that isn't tense, because it has nothing to do with any role or result. Putting your attention there, even for a short time, relaxes your body in ways that no method can make it do. The nerve system gets back to normal. Not because someone tells it to, but because the mind finds peace in the silence. Being aware in a Buddhist way is called sati, which means the act of remembering. Keeping the breath in mind. Keeping the present in mind. Thoughts on the stop that holds everything. This is not remembering with your mind. It's remembering while being aware. Coming back to the simple fact that you are living and that this moment is complete, even if you can't explain it. You come back every time the mind starts to spin again, to the air, to the break, to the place in the middle. Not as a way to escape, but as a way to get back to what's real. Over time, this habit grows. The body gets used to being still. The mind starts to believe it. You stop pulling away from the present and start sinking into it. The empty space between breaths is not what the quiet is about. It's about being full without moving. Being present without trying. Peace that doesn't need a reason. It is the place where all effort ends, where your thoughts can't be held down, where defining oneself stops and awareness grows. And you need less sleep the more you rest there. When the mind isn't working extra hours, the heart is no longer beating fast. The body isn't getting ready for something it can't handle anymore. You learn how to rest while you're awake in the silence between breaths. It teaches the nervous system how to slowly break down without shutting down or being slowed down. To start, just pay attention to the moment after you take in. Just let your mind rest there for one beat. I'm not keeping it, just taking note. After that, let the breath out. Again, pause after you let out your breath. Feel the peace. It doesn't matter how short it is, even if you think about moving. Come back again and again. Every time you come back, something gets more stable. More careful attention is paid. Better at detecting, not caught up in what's on the surface, not tossed around by thoughts. In that soft place that holds everything together, though, there is a small gap, but a huge amount of peace inside it. It's always there for you when you're under a lot of stress, even when things are painful. The breath keeps going. There is still quiet, waiting. Hold on, not bothered. They say that when you get to know that quiet, you carry it with you, into your nights, into your sleep, into your life. This isn't a way to change into someone else. It's about getting rid of the noise that keeps your true self from view. You don't have to change for the breath. It asks you to come back. You don't have to understand the pause between breaths. It only wants you to be there, and being there heals, not loud, completely, in peace. You don't need to learn any steps. There are no levels to get. There is only one thing needed: the will to notice what is already going on. The body takes in air, the mind looks around, the heart gets softer. Peace comes in the space between all of it. This kind of peace doesn't make itself known. It doesn't shine. It doesn't promise anything. But in quiet, long-lasting ways, it changes the quality of your life. You stop reacting as much. Not as twisted, not as airy, more present. Because your thoughts aren't floating on top of the water anymore. You're taking a break in the stillness below. Here's something to hold on to tonight. Not a mantra, not a goal. Take a deep breath, take a break, nothing but space. Let each breath bring you to a quiet place. Every moment of silence should help you find yourself. Every time you come back, remember that you were never really gone. This is how things are done. This is the way in. Now you can get the rest your body needs. Not something to get, something that lets. The time when you don't breathe, small, small, godlike. And enough is enough. A softer layer starts to appear after sitting in the stillness between breaths and realizing that peace doesn't come from adding more, but from stepping back from the noise. At times when the body is still and the mind calms down, a feeling of identity can still be there. There is a quiet story going on underneath the silence, the idea that this is who I am. For many people, especially those who have trouble sleeping, this idea sounds like this: I'm a bad sleeper. This one line doesn't seem dangerous, almost a fact. Buddhist knowledge, on the other hand, shows that it is much stronger and more dangerous than that. As soon as the mind takes that label, not as a temporary state, but as a description, it locks itself into pain. Not because the body can't sleep, but because they are stuck with the character of someone who can't. This is what Buddhists call the illusion of self. The mind's tendency to hold on to jobs, labels, and patterns as if they were true forever. The mind is not just describing reality when it says, "I am an insomniac." It's making a system that will be used to filter every moment in the future. Each and every yawn is proof. Every sleepless night comes true like an omen. It's hard to sleep every time, not because of the body, but because the ego says, "This is hard for me. This is who I am." A Buddhist theory called anatta talks about the non-self and how the truth that the self is not fixed can free you. There is no me inside that doesn't change. Patterns can be seen, specifics, what causes what. But it didn't have a permanent character that held it all together. Labels start to lose their hold on you when you understand this, even if only partly. There's less to the story now, and the pain that comes from holding on to identity starts to go away. Giving up your identity as an insomniac doesn't mean acting like you sleep well. To be able to see clearly that having trouble sleeping is a situation and not a personality trait. It's not a person, but an event. Everything is different, because the nerve system starts to react before the night even starts, when the problem becomes a part of who you are. The mind gets ready for battle. The body gets tighter. The air gets shorter. The fear of not being able to sleep turns into a reality. But it's possible to deal with the problem if you see it as a temporary state caused by habits, stress, energy, or the surroundings. It may move. It could get better. Not because the self gets better, but because the self-idea stops being so strong. And this letting go is happiness. Not because they couldn't sleep, but because they had to make it personal. Buddhist psychology teaches that pain gets worse when it is taken personally. When you say, "This is happening to me," instead of "this is happening," the experience gets harder. The person who has sleepiness is hard to pin down. Conversations make it stronger, by marks made by experts, based on years of proof. However, Buddhism asks a more profound question. What are you when you don't have any thoughts? When you're not making up stories for yourself, who are you? In the time between breaths, who are you? That's where the fake identity starts to fall apart, because there is no insomniac in that silence, not a surprise. There's no story, just being there, just being aware, just life going on. At that point, you start to understand that your body is not stopping you from sleeping. It's being stopped by how you feel about who you think you are. It's not just a story that you think, "I can't sleep." It is a practice. You practice being someone who struggles every time you say it, even to yourself, and your body reacts in a way that matches what you believe. You can start to let go, though, kindly, not by making people believe something different. That's still identification if you say, "I'm a great sleeper," instead of "I'm a bad sleeper." The offer is more profound. Give up the need to identify at all, to face the night without a name, not to bring the past into the present moment. There was no such thing as this before. Tonight is not like the other nights. Your body isn't the same. You don't think the same way. But the story says it is. That's the trick. Time is folded in the story. Memory is used to make patterns. Then it uses those trends to guess what will happen in the future. But you can't sleep in the past or the future. It is happening now, in a living person, in a living time. The mind is not telling the truth when it says, This will be another bad night. The story is about a dream. You don't have to believe it either. How then do you leave your identity? You begin by being aware. You pay attention when the label shows up. When you think, "I can't sleep," you don't do anything about it. You just say, "That's just a thought." When you think, "I'm someone who always struggles," you pause and say, "That's just a story." You come back to the breath. You go back to the body. You come back to being there. Not to fix anything, but to get a better look. Every time you leave the story, the character gets weaker. You make space every time you rest in awareness, and people sleep in space, not stories. This doesn't mean that you'll never have another sleepless night again. That means the restlessness won't make you who you are. It won't change who you are. There will only be one thing that it is: a moment, a state that changes. It's not personal, nothing that will last. And slowly, something starts to change. The nights don't feel like fights as much. The body doesn't feel like it failed as much. The mind doesn't seem as dangerous, because the weight of who they are doesn't press down on every moment anymore. The words themselves change. Now you don't say, "I am." You say, "There is." Instead of, "I am anxious," you say, "Anxiety is present." Instead of, "I am an insomniac," you say, "There is restlessness tonight." This is how non-self becomes useful. This is how it gets better. The self is heavy. It sticks. It is afraid. It is similar. But being aware is light. It sees. It starts up. It lets go. It is always there, closer than any thought, not as loud as any story, more open than any personality. Drop the title tonight. Get rid of the name. Meet the night without a part to play. Don't do anything with the body. Just let the breath happen. Let the thoughts come and go without getting caught up in their words. You don't need to change who you are. All you have to do is realize that you are not it. You are not your past sleep. You're not having the worst night of your life. You're not your most antsy thought. You are the thing that watches, the peace that comes back, the knowledge that is still there. You are free when you are there. Feel free to rest. Feel free to wake up. Feel free to let go of what you think you are. Because people who can't sleep don't get peace. It gets to the person who doesn't need to be anyone anymore. The mind no longer holds on to being a bad sleeper, and the self has let go of its hold on identity. This means there is room to go even deeper, not into a different technique, but into a whole new idea of where sleep happens. Even when you're working hard on the inside, the place where you rest has energy. The body keeps track of how it felt there. For many, the bed has become a place of stress, failure, and anger that they don't talk about. What if, though, that place could be changed spiritually instead of physically? The next step calls for a big, healing change. It starts with how people think, not how they act. With the way you think about the bed, the pillow, and sitting down. It makes sense that the body would not want to rest if the bed had turned into a battlefield where thoughts attack, tension rises, and identity clings. Buddhism, on the other hand, shows us how to use everything, even the pillow, even the sheets. It's possible to see even the mattress as a sacred area instead of a place where people fight, a place where you can give up instead of perform. Respect isn't about following the rules. It's about being there. It has to do with honor, That feeling you get when you treat something ordinary with care, purpose, and mindfulness. The whole psychology of sleep changes when the pillow turns into a meditation cushion. There is no longer a going to bed. There is now a chapel, a place where work stops. The day's noise stays outside, where being still is not a choice, it is respected. This change doesn't come from outside of you. It changes how you deal with what's already there. The cover turns into a sign of safety. The smoke is made from the breath. The gift is the stillness. Just be ready to show respect for the space. You don't need candles, mantras, or rituals. Just being ready to hold the act of rest in high regard. This change isn't vague. It has power over the mind. The body reacts when it senses that it is entering a calm area. Before the first breath is even slowed down, the nervous system starts to relax. This is not where we fight. The mind gets the word. This is where we let go. In Buddhism, temples aren't just places to pray. They are made to make energy. Someone or something changes in the space where people sit in respect, and there is silence and attention in the air. You can use the same idea for your own bed, not by changing how it's made, but by how you interact with it. The way you approach the pillow every night becomes a habit, not artificial, but aware, not exciting, but holy. It's no longer about ending the day when you lay down. It turns into a way to get to quiet, a way to get to a different way of being. That's not how you fall asleep. You're getting to the present moment. This is important because images make sense to the mind. When the bed becomes a place of conflict, even if only in your mind, it sets off your defenses. But when it turns into a place of peace, it makes things softer. And kindness is the only place where deep rest can grow. Let the pillow help you remember what you want to do. Let it be the place where power is given up. Let it be your quiet teacher that tells you not to do anything. Not as a bother, not as a fix, but as a good thing, as a place that can safely hold your weight, not only physically but also mentally, as a place that helps you. Let each time you rest your head be a sign that you're letting go. Let it be a bow to being there. Should be an offering, not of ideas or goals, but of being aware. Being aware that this moment is holy. Being aware that this area is safe. Being aware that you can't be anywhere else. This new way of thinking is powerful because it breaks up the old patterns of thinking. It takes the place of anger with respect. It changes opposition into acceptance. The body starts to feel that change over time. The muscles remember how soft they were. The breath brings back the silence. This place makes the heart remember that it is loved. You might still be thinking. You might still be antsy. Now, though, those events happen in a different place. They come up not in a war zone, but in a safe place. That really does make a difference, because even restlessness can calm down if you hold it with respect. The pillow is now your cushion. You lay down on the bed. And sleep stops being something you fall into and starts being something you go back to. Like a monk going back to being quiet. Like a leaf going back to the ground. In a humble way, with kindness. Peace be with you. This change doesn't have to be perfect either. You are not under any obligation to make a perfect routine. The way you think is what counts. It's the quiet promise to treat your rest as more than just physical. It means seeing sleep as a teacher instead of a job. You can take this even further by changing the way you think about the night. You should see it as time given instead of time lost. It's time for the mind to calm down. It is time for the heart to get softer. It's time for the body to get better. Every night is a getaway, not a way out, but a fresh start. In this restart, you don't have to do anything. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to show up, to hold still, to pay attention, to get some rest, not because you deserve it, but because you have the right to. The Buddhist way tells us that we can practice at any time. Every place on earth can be holy. How you walk, how you sit down, how you sleep, every bit of it can be used to rise. It can all carry the same energy of awareness. The whole experience changes when this awareness is brought into the area of sleep. It takes away pressure. It swaps out achievement for devotion. The bed goes from being a place of stress to a place of peace. It also tells the body, you are safe now. You are free to let go. You are being held. It's not a trick. This isn't a way to get more sleep. You will live differently now, and doing it over and over again makes it effortless. At some point, the bed will stop making you angry. It makes power happen. The body gets the message that it's time to return, but not to work out, but to rest. Tonight should be the start. Use the pillow as a cushion. Follow the silence. Take a deep breath and offer it. To respect what's already here, not to get anything done. The holy place. The stillness of being. The calm coming back to yourself. This is how spiritual sleep is. Not by adding anything. To remember what it is already, though. Going back to being still. A letting go into presence. A peaceful return home. Something more honest starts to show up once the bed is treated as holy again and the pillow isn't carrying the weight of anger, but instead holds a soft, respectful call to be still. There will be nights when things don't go as planned, no matter how much you practice, think about, and let go. There are nights when it's hard to fall asleep, when the body stays awake, when the quiet seems far away. This is also a part of the road. This next teaching arrives with deep compassion, because there's no need to do more. Last but not least, letting go of the idea that every night has to be perfect is what keeps you from sleeping. That sleep needs to be straight. That growth must look like consistency. It's this secret hope that causes quiet pressure, and that pressure is what keeps you from relaxing. Buddhism, on the other hand, offers something kinder and more honest. The knowledge that everything changes, even sleep. Everything changes when you look at sleep through the lens of change. Not being able to sleep is no longer a failure. It's only a moment. A wave in the ocean as a whole. A temporary pattern of weather in the vast sky of awareness. The breath is still coming out. In silence, the body still gets rest, and the mind is still a part of the practice even when it's busy. Pausing doesn't mean anything bad. There's no shame in the fight. There is only experience, which comes and goes like everything else. In Buddhist thought, one of the most important ideas is that pain grows when you fight what's happening, and peace grows when you let it go. Not having sleep at night doesn't have to be fixed. They need to be met, with being there, by agreeing to, with the knowledge that no one moment makes the whole. The need for perfection goes away when sleep is seen as a spiritual practice instead of a show. The body isn't a machine. It's a process, a flow of feelings, energies, hormones, breath, and experiences that is always changing. This changeability is shown by sleep. It goes up and down. It gets darker and brighter. It moves in beats that can't be made to match up. The nerve system gets tighter when the mind wants a perfect night, but the stress starts to ease as soon as you say, "This night is enough, just the way it is." Also, this isn't about giving up rest. It's about letting go of the stress that stops it from happening. Stop wanting the night to be perfect, and you make it possible for it to be quiet. Because being at peace doesn't mean everything has to go your way. It only needs to not be resistant. You just have to be ready to accept each moment as it comes. This change makes me feel things. A lot of people sleep with shame on their mind, a feeling that they aren't healthy if they can't sleep well every night. But Buddhism says that we don't need to judge in this way, so the mind can hold itself with kindness, that things are okay even when things are hard. Not being able to sleep is not a loss. It's a lesson. It tells the mind what it wants. It shows where power ends. What's still tense is brought to light by it. These nights aren't getting in the way. They help you get there. They are just as valuable as the peaceful ones. Getting through these nights with kindness is what it takes. To say, even though this feels hard, I won't judge it. Or, even though I don't have perfect rest, I can find peace here. This is how spiritual growth grows, not in perfect conditions, but in being ready to deal with what is real. The idea of impermanence helps you remember that everything changes, that a mind that is tense right now might feel calm later, that if your body feels tight, it might loosen up on its own, that nothing is locked up. Right now, things are already moving. When you really feel that truth, even a sleepless night is acceptable. There's no need to hurry. You don't need to worry. You do not have to hold on to hope or give up. You can just wait. You can breathe. You may see. And you can rest in being aware, even if sleep seems far away. It's a soft kind of rest. Not being aware is not the point. It's about letting go of the fight, not having to run away to be still. The thoughts may still go off. The heart might still beat fast. You're not broken, though. You're not behind. You're just not on the same wave as everyone else. There is a Buddhist story about a monk who had trouble with his thoughts while meditating for many years. He gave up trying to fix them one night. He did nothing but sit, still, open, not attached. And when they gave up, the storm went away. It stopped because he stopped giving it fuel, not because he forced it. The same goes for sleep. It doesn't have to be a great night. You don't have to get rid of the thoughts. The body doesn't have to do anything. What changes about an event is how you relate to it. You can turn toward what hurts. It's okay to breathe into the stress. You can say, this also belongs. It's not the condition itself that makes a difference, but your presence in it. As time goes on, the pressure drops. Why can't I sleep? Asks that voice. Stops being important. The need to be in charge fades into the background. You are not at war with yourself if you don't fall asleep right away. You're not making something heavier than it already is. You're just taking a break, not loud, completely, for real. Things might be different tomorrow night. It might not happen, though. But no matter what, you are building something more stable than sleep. Peace. Freedom from worry about what will happen, and peace that makes room for all of them. Peace that says, I believe in this process, even though I don't fully grasp it. Let this be your new measure of rest. Not how long you slept, but you didn't fight back at all. Not how still you were. But your mind changed into something nice. Not how deep the sleep was, but whether thoughts of right and wrong were gone. This sets you free. Why? Because you're no longer looking for the false idea of perfect rest. You just rest. Inside the body, in the air, in the stillness, in the way that each flawed, holy night unfolds. Let go of the chase tonight. Take your eyes off the list. Don't try so hard to get it right. Just let the night be. Keep your heart open. Keep your breath soft inside it. There's no need for you to earn peace. You are only being told to stop fighting it. Because not every night has to be great. Still, every night can be pretty. You can still teach every night. It can still be enough every night. Leave this one alone, the way it is. There was no show. Don't stress, just being there. Believe. Once the myth of the perfect night falls apart, when the stress is replaced with present, something even softer can come out. When there is nothing left to fight and no thought of how sleep should make you feel. What rises in the silence is not sleep itself, but the person who is watching. The calm watcher inside. There is a presence beneath all effort, not in unconsciousness, but in awareness. This is where a deeper kind of rest starts, in the calm look of the midnight monk inside. This isn't a monk who sits on a rock and sings into the wind. This part of you watches without having to fix anything. The part that holds restlessness gently instead of reacting to it. It's a part of you that isn't affected by your busy thoughts. It doesn't keep thoughts from coming up. It doesn't make you sleepy. It just stays there, still, open, peaceful. In Buddhist teaching, the monk stands for equanimity, which is not the lack of feeling, but the ability to stay calm when you feel one. This is the very thing that changes everything at night. Because your relationship with the night changes when you stop seeing being awake as a problem and start seeing it as something to watch. You are no longer someone who can't sleep. You are an observer who is aware. Being calm does not mean not caring about anything. It doesn't mean you don't care if you sleep or not. It shows that you care enough to be kind, even when it's hard to rest. It means you're not caught up in stories about how tired you'll be tomorrow or how your day went yesterday. You stay here with the way things are. That is the force of a monk. Not shook, not cold, but very quiet. You can grow this inner monk too. Not as a part to play, but as a trait to have. First, pay attention to how fast your thought jumps when you're awake. It needs to figure out how many hours are left. It needs to know what time it is. It wants to think about mistakes it made, plan talks, or fret about the next day. The monk inside of you hears those moves and just breathes, looks at, doesn't make sense. We don't need to be here right now. It can't be stopped. It doesn't tell the mind it's wrong to think. It just looks. This is what lets you sleep even when you're awake. Because real rest isn't being quiet. It's not doing anything. Thoughts may be loud, but the witness is still. In the middle of the night, that quiet is your temple. Start by being aware of your breath to increase this presence. Not to keep the breath in, but to keep the moment steady. Watch the breath in, the pause, and the breath out. Take a seat on your breath. Let it tell you that you are helped right now. There is nothing important going on right now. You can stay here right now. The inner monk doesn't give the night a name. There are no words like good or bad or early or late. It only lists what is there: thought, stress, being soft, moving. It doesn't give sense. It doesn't have any stories. It only sees. And as I see that, the emotional charge starts to fade. The mind's story starts to fade. It doesn't mean that thoughts stop. It means they lose control. You turn into the monk who stood by the window and watched the storm. The clouds move. You can hear the wind. You don't step into it, though. You keep sitting. Stay calm, not sure, present. This is a skill. It's not always simple, but it's always possible. To make it even better, practice makes perfect. Lack of sleep is no longer a problem. It turns into a place to be present. You're not just lying awake, you're also learning to be still. It trains the heart to stay open even when things don't go as planned. This training helps you in real life too, because how you deal with night is how you deal with everything else. When things are hard, if you can stay soft and calm, you start to live with the same kindness you bring to the pillow. You stop reacting as much, not as affected by results, better able to be clear and kind in every moment. Being an inner monk is real. There is already something good about you. You felt it when your mind stopped thinking and everything seemed easy. It hit you in the stillness before dawn, before you speak, in the breath, as soon as you let out a deep breath. That's the monk, waiting. Hold on, hold on. And the night is a chance to connect with that part, especially if you're restless, not by force, not by trying to be spiritual, but by going back, over and over, to the air, to the body, to the being that watches and says, "This too is okay." Saying in your head, "Let me just observe, not fix," can help you get better. Do not judge, look around. Thoughts come and go. The body moves. The breath keeps going. And you stay, not as a thought, maybe not as the surprise, but as the calm heart of everything. Something beautiful takes place in this peace. Thoughts lose their power. The worry about not being able to sleep goes away. The stress that was there before starts to go away. You are not afraid of being awake because you are a monk. The monk knows that peace is not only possible when you are asleep, but also when you are awake. This peace is more than just rest. It's peace that doesn't depend on anything. Peace that isn't harmed by thoughts. Peace that stands still and watches the night go by. Tonight, let yourself rest in that. Even if the body stays awake, even if the mind is still working, you can still be calm, you can still breathe, you can still be kind and watch. That is the real sleep of the monk. Not falling asleep, but letting go of all the things that are making him unhappy. Let this moment be all you need. Take a seat on your breath. Spend less time thinking about it. That's not a fail. You are seeing. You're not lost. You are a witness. You're not hurt. You are going back to the quiet place inside that isn't affected by noise, fear, or time. This is the night's gift. Not just rest, but growth as well. Not just sleep, but also quiet. You own that quiet. All the time. No matter how many ideas come to mind, no matter how many hours go by. The monk stays. peaceful, be gentle. Waking up, and you rest in the same peace when you stay with that awareness, not after, right now. And once you learn to watch instead of resist, to observe instead of solve, and spend time with your inner monk in the quiet hours, a deeper comfort starts to show itself. But even though the body relaxes and the mind slows down, there's still one more stress that often lurks below it all. A quiet pressure that doesn't go away. The need to get better. To fix something before being allowed to rest. Here is where the next trick needs to be carefully taken away. The idea that you have to work on yourself to earn sleep. A lot of the time, the day sends subtle messages that say, you are not enough. Being productive is praised. Flaws are looked at. Emotions are tracked. People try to reach their goals. Even at night, all that noise doesn't go away. It just gets quieter. Even though the body is lying down, the thought is still busy. Going over what wasn't done. Going over mistakes, making plans for how to do better tomorrow. All of this is topped off by the quiet sense that something is missing. But Buddhism tells us a shocking and beautiful truth. Right now, there is nothing missing, even if the targets weren't met. It doesn't matter if feelings are still raw, even if today wasn't the day you were at your best. The heart is still here. The air is still moving. The mind that sees everything is already whole. Peace doesn't need to be finished. It only wants you to be there. We're not giving up on growth. It's about giving up the never-ending chase. It's about breaking out of the trap that says you have to be completely better before you can sleep. Before you lay your head down, you need to clean up your thoughts, fix your flaws, and tie up your feelings. That thought is a prison. If you do it right, rest is a prize, and that state of perfection never comes. Buddhism leads to a different point of view, that every moment is already holy, no matter how sloppy or unfinished it is, that you can rest deeply without having to solve everything, that how many things you got done today doesn't tell you how valuable you are, that inner peace isn't a place you get to by working hard, it's a space you find by letting go. Letting go is not the same as being lazy, it's smart, because there is always a part of you that wants to fix, update, or make things better. It thinks that you should wait to rest until everything is okay. But that doesn't help the mind relax, because you can always make something better, always something else to feel bad about. Letting go of improving yourself long enough to fall asleep is the exercise, not always. For now only, just for tonight. For these short hours, the mind and heart don't need to be fixed or changed, just the will to say, enough is enough. I'm enough. There's no need for this moment to be different. First, you have to notice the need to fix things. The one that asks, why did I say that today? Or, I should have dealt with that better. The plan that starts with, I'll be more focused tomorrow. Much more focused. Be more kind. We've all had these thoughts. Not right away, though. They're habits. And, like all habits, they lose their power when you become aware of them. Feel free to tell your mind, thank you, but not now. We've done enough today, or now is not the time to change who I am. These are not compliments. They serve as reminders that fixing things doesn't heal them deeply. Being able to rest in what is already whole gives you that. There are times during the day when you feel raw, when your feelings aren't settled, And when your to-do list keeps going over in your head, your body still needs rest. It is still possible for the mind to soften. It's still okay to hold the heart still. This way of doing things doesn't mean ignoring what's important. It means being aware of what can wait. Sleep does not stop growth. It helps to hold it up. Real change doesn't happen when you keep correcting yourself. It happens when you stop trying and just accept things as they are. Let the breath tell you that life goes on even when you can't control it. Allow your body to tell you that it knows how to let go without being told. Let your awareness settle on the fact that nothing needs to change for this moment to be complete. There is a Buddhist idea called tathata, which means suchness. It means how things are, not the way they should be, not the way we'd like them to be, the way they are. And finding peace in that is one of the wisest things you can do. It's not the same as trying. In a quiet way, the heart agrees with truth. It's okay to rest when your mind says, maybe I didn't do enough. It's also okay to say, growth happens slowly, and this moment is part of it. And when it says, I'm not there yet, you can say, there is no there, just this breath, just this now. These simple facts don't take away from your goals. They take away the pain that comes from knowing that you have to wait to rest. And as that pressure goes away, something softer comes up. The nervous system calms down. It gets easier to breathe. The judge inside of you stops talking. As of now, there is no more work to be done, not to be anyone. There's nothing wrong. Even though you cried today, even if you failed, even if you forgot everything, you can still lay down and let go. You can still be nice to yourself. You don't have to worry about ending the day. Being kind is not a sign of weakness. Stronger roots will grow in this dirt. It's this change that makes room for real rest. Not sleep as a way to get away, but sleep as a way to come back. Going back to the old you that never needed to be better. That part of you that watches you grow but is never touched by it. That part is always quiet, always whole, everywhere. Now is the time to stop trying. Don't compare. Don't keep writing yourself over in your head. Put all your stress on your pillow. To bring your mind back to your body, let your breath do the work. Let go of your self-image with your awareness. This is how peace comes in, not by working for it, but by making room for it. Not by getting there, but by giving up the idea that something needs to be done first. Rest becomes real. Don't try to be better tonight. Don't practice being the person you'll be tomorrow. Don't fix the mistakes you made today. Just be. Take a deep breath. Just be, without changing anything. Let your heart rest in how it is now. Relax your mind without trying to solve anything. Tell your body it doesn't need anything else. To rest well, you don't need to be perfect. You can feel safe, even if you're not fixed. You don't have to get better in order to let sleep hold you. Wrap yourself in that truth like a blanket. Keep it with you all night. You're good enough. Right now, everything is complete. Not fix things. Don't try so hard. Let the rest begin, not when everything is great, but when trust starts. Have faith that the person you are with right now is whole, even while they are still becoming. It doesn't matter how you feel, even though the day isn't over yet. And when you get there, there is nothing left but peace. No work to do, no part to play, and no identity to polish. It's not because you made it, but it was always here, waiting, peaceful, ready to accept you just the way you are. Another desire sneaks in through the back door of the mind after the grip of self-improvement is loosened. This time it's the exhausting habit of editing yourself before rest. There's no scream. It talks softly. It looks like hope, but it's really just another way to fight back. The desire for early morning. How much you want time to go faster all the time. The desire for the night to end so that there would be peace. Here is where pain takes on a new form. It's not because of what's happening, but because the mind doesn't want to be there. This desire isn't very strong. At first, it doesn't feel like holding. It sounds like a nice thought. I just want morning to come. I wish this night would end. Or, I can't wait for the sun. But those thoughts are really just ways of avoiding the present moment, waiting for something else to come along and take away your pain right now. Buddhists believe that this longing and waiting is the most hidden form of pain. Peace is just around the corner, but the mind tells you an easy lie, that things will feel better tomorrow, that the light will make things better, that everything will get softer when the sun comes up. That idea, on the other hand, keeps you stuck in a state of unhappy silence because it makes you wait to rest. It puts off your personality. It says, not right now. The next one. And the body stays tense whenever the thought turns to the future. Because the nerve system reacts to what people think is true, not what is true. If you think you need to get away from the night to feel relaxed, you'll stay in fear the whole time. You'll pace in your mind. You'll want the time to go by faster. You will live in a spot that isn't quite there yet. If you do that, you'll miss the only place where peace is possible. This breath, this quiet, this now. A type of time-based hunger is the pain of wanting morning to come. Change is what it wants, and it wants it now. And the pain gets worse every second that change doesn't happen. It's like sitting in a chair for hours with your back straight. At some point, your body will start to hurt. It's not the chair that hurts, it's because of how you're sitting. Buddhism says that being attached to time is the enemy, not time itself. The mind is always measuring. It keeps track of how many hours are still left, how much it wants to know how much closer morning is. These thoughts are habits, not facts, and they can be let go. Not because you don't care about tomorrow anymore, but because you know that's not where peace lives. Peace doesn't wait for dawn. There is peace where there is no clock. The present moment, the breath that you're taking without trying, the knowing that doesn't need the sky to get different, the force that is there in light and dark alike. You might notice that your mind often fights night, like it's something to get through, a kind of trouble, a long haul to run down quickly. You can get through the night, though. It's a step. It's a teacher, a mirror, a place where cravings can be seen. And when you see that, you start to lose the desire to fight it. In Buddhist thinking, there is a deep lesson about the three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. It's greedy to want morning so badly. Not greed for things, but greed for experiences. The need for something different from what you have now. The thought that something else will make the moment perfect. But there's no need for the moment right now. It's already whole. You start to rest, even when you're not moving, when you stop leaning forward for an hour. Not because things have changed, but because you didn't need to change anymore. You stopped trying to get away from the dark. You stopped being against time. And all of a sudden, you're not hurting even if you're awake at midnight, because you no longer need to wait. The Buddhist path leads to this kind of freedom, not freedom from reality, but freedom within it. Being able to stay here without having to go somewhere else. The freedom to sit at night without having to give up daytime. Being able to feel what you feel without being told that you should feel something else. And being free starts with being able to see. Seeing how the urge comes up. Taking note of how your thoughts drift to the future. You look at the time not to learn something, but to get away from something. That's a strong notice, because it breaks the dream. It gives you room. You can choose to be present over projecting in that place. I see you craving, you can say. You can say, morning will come when it comes. This moment, right now, doesn't lack anything, you can say. We choose to rest here. It won't always feel easy to make this change. It will feel honest, though. And being honest is what starts to heal the deeper wounds of pain. Because the truth is that darkness doesn't need rest. It's not necessary to be sure. You only need to be ready to stop running, not to reach anymore. Stop seeing time as a stepladder you need to climb to get to peace. You're already here. The only thing that's missing is the thought that something is still missing. If you lose that idea, something beautiful will happen. The night is no longer long. It feels wide at first, very large. Still, that's enough. You shouldn't have to rush through it. No longer do you need to fix it. You start to believe that you can sleep in the dark without having to wait for the light to come on. Not only a change in thought, but also a change in being. And that change changes how the nerve system works. It means you're safe. It means someone is there. It means that the moment is no longer going to be put off. After that, sleep often comes on its own, not because you made them, but because the conditions of rest, peace, quiet, and safety have finally come back. Not because the time changed, but not from changing how you feel about the hour. This shift gives you rest, even if you don't fall asleep right away. Rest isn't just for the body. It makes you feel, in a mental way. It means giving up the need for things to be different. Again tonight, if you feel that desire, if your thoughts are turning to morning and your heart aches for light, stop. Take deep breaths. Pay attention to the breath that doesn't care what time it is again. Return to the present that doesn't use hours to measure progress. Go back to the part of you that is already complete, safe, and at home. You don't need to skip ahead. You don't have to wait for light to feel good. You don't need to keep track of the hours until you can live your life again. There is life here, right now. Peaceful, very large, classic. It has always been. Just let the night be. Let it wrap around you, but don't try to get away from it. Instead, give in to it, not as a place to wait for morning, but as a holy place in its own right. There is still time left. The place where time can't touch you is where you're going back. And with that return, the need goes away, and peace starts. Once the need for morning has gone away and the desire to leave the night has been replaced by a steady desire to be here, in the dark, with no hurry and no resistance, something else keeps whispering in the mind. The thought may still wander even if there is no desire for the future. It could still spin, boost, repeat, or increase. It gains speed, one thought at a time, and when there is no noise around, even a small thought can grow into something bigger. Something new needs to show up here. Something that isn't heavy or powerful, but clear and awake. This is where sati can help you. Sati, which means mindfulness in English, is more than just paying attention. It is a soft tool for making people aware, not a violent tool, but a shrewd one, a clean, soft blade that cuts through chaos without starting a fight. It doesn't go after the thoughts. It doesn't make the mind look bad. It doesn't make people be quiet. It only sees things as they really are. And that clarity is all it takes to get rid of the lies that make the spiral happen. Before going to bed, my mind tends to get more important. One thought leads to another. A thought turns into a story. A little fear grows into a whole imagined future. And this keeps happening over and over, pulling the thought farther away from what is real. It gets stuck in its own sound. If Sati wants to stop this, she doesn't close down the thought. It cuts in clearly and softly. It lights a lamp in the room so you can see without getting scared that none of these thoughts are real. As big or important as they seem, none of them really are. Sati starts with just looking. You have an idea while you're lying in bed. Thank you. You can feel stress in your chest. Thank you. You start to play back an exchange from before. Thank you. There is nothing that needs to be looked at or judged. Just being able to see it well is enough. Because when you can see clearly, the fantasy falls away. Thoughts can only spread when they are not stopped. Something starts one thing that leads to another and another until the first spark is lost. Mindfulness can spot the spark early on. That's when it knows that a thought is starting to form. And instead of getting caught up in the story, you stay grounded in what you know. Steady, not cold or separate. You could tell yourself, this is just a thought. The thought would then go back into the quiet. Sati is strong and soft at the same time. It doesn't get rid of the thoughts. It holds them up like a mirror. Because it doesn't judge, it just shows the mind what it is doing. That's why it's called a gentle tool. It clears things up without starting a fight. It takes away the darkness by shining a light on it. As a first step, you can focus on your breath. Not to control it, but to find your way around it. The breath in comes. The exhale comes next. You don't argue when thoughts come up. You come back, over and over. It gets easier for the mind to move with each return. With each return, a new pattern is made. You find safety in that pattern. The awareness gets better with experience. You start to notice smaller changes as soon as a ruling comes up, as soon as the mind tries to fix something. The second, it goes back or forward in time. Sati sees everything. And after seeing that, the thinking stops growing. A soft cut is made at the root. It's not about being careful in a stressful way. Being present while being calm is what it's all about. In a quiet way, like a lamp lighting a room. It's not loud, it stays still, but the fact that it's there changes everything. Sati becomes more and more like second nature the more you do it. My mind is still moving, but I'm becoming more aware of everything around it. like how space holds clouds. The clouds come and go, but the space stays the same. That is the mind on being aware. Being awake but not acting, still alive but not connected. This presence is strongest at night, when there isn't much going on, making the mind's moves stand out more. If you don't have sati, that focus can make you feel restless. Sati leads to understanding. You can see what the mind does when it doesn't have anything to do, how it tries to make something important, how it holds on to something, how it makes quiet seem more important. And the fantasy gets weaker every time you see this, every time you see it. In Buddhist writings, it is said, mindfulness makes the mind like an elephant that has been trained well. Without it, it's like a wild animal. This isn't meant to scare, it's meant to lead. Because being aware doesn't punish the mind to train it. It teaches it to be kind. It's a place for it to rest, and the mind finally gives in when it is offered rest. At night, this rest starts with letting thoughts go by without focusing on them. When you notice a worry, you can say, "That's fear trying to protect me." When you notice a memory, you can say, "That's the mind reviewing." When you notice the urge to analyze, you can say, "That's the habit of control." Mindfulness lets you respond instead of react in all of these situations, to notice without taking in. This will change the way you sleep over time. You are not hurting when you are awake, even if you don't fall asleep right away. You are seeing, you're taking a breath, you are at ease in your knowledge. That's enough for the body to let go most of the time. You don't have to force yourself to be aware. It can start out small. Take a deep breath. 1 moment to pay attention. Remember, I don't have to follow this thought. And each moment, the room around the thought gets bigger. There is less hurry. It's quiet again. Sati won't help you get better. That way, you won't think you're broken. It doesn't get rid of thoughts. It clears things up. It shows the mind how it moves, so the heart can rest in the truth. That truth is that you are not your thoughts. You're not your stress. You're not the things you tell yourself at night. You are what makes them possible. It's the steady presence that sees without getting scared, holds without holding on, and soothes without trying. Sati should be your friend tonight, not as a job, but as a friend. Bring your attention back to the breath. It can show you the space between your thoughts. Let it softly cut through the lies that tell you, now is not enough. Since it is. It's always been that way. You can finally feel it with awareness. Here it is, now, in the stillness, in the air, in the state of mind that never goes away. Now that mindfulness has slowly made you more aware, now that you can see your thoughts without getting caught up in them and rest in the present moment without trying to change it, there is a bigger opening. Not to put in more work, but to get to the mystery at the heart of it all. Because there is still something going on even after thoughts and breath are watched. A subtle sense of self that is trying to get better at the practice, looking for ways to be still, try to get to sleep, finally. There is nothing else to do after this next step. You have to look inside yourself to face the quiet mystery at the heart of experience. Who is trying to sleep? You don't need to answer this question. It's a question meant to stop the mind's processes. A Zen saying. An opening that makes sense doesn't work. A mirror that is so clean that the person who looks at it just disappears. When this question is asked in an honest way, everything slows down. Not because you know something, but because the person who was looking is now being watched. In Zen, a koan is not meant to be intellectual. It's not a puzzle or riddle to figure out. There's a lot of spiritual power in it. A question that breaks down the framework of the mind that thinks, leaving only awareness behind. And at night, when the mind is trying to sleep like it's a game, this question, who is trying to sleep, is the lightest and most powerful thing that can wake you up. When the question comes up, there is a pause. The mind stumbles because it wants to give answers so badly, because it can't say anything about the person asking. It tries to say me, but it realizes that me is just another thought, just one more picture, not much more than a mental echo. And in that pause, that silence, the looking starts to go away. It's not a trick question. This is an offer to stop seeing yourself as a real thing, not to think that the person who wants sleep is also in charge of it. Because the self rates every moment that doesn't fit the role of sleeper more the more it sees itself as that role. Every minute you're awake is a failure. Each tense turn is another mark against the supposed me. But the koan says more than that. Who am I? Is it the body, the thoughts, the voice commenting on everything you feel, the one remembering the problems they had yesterday or making plans for tomorrow? Does the quiet hear all of these things? You start to understand that the self is not just one thing. It is a set of habits, a bunch of memories. There is a loop of fears and desires. Also, none of it can be found in the middle. Something calms down when this is seen, because there is no set me that has to be able to sleep. Then there is no pressure to do it properly. There is only space, time, and life. Zen masters say that the mind gives up on the koan after a while of not trying to answer it. It wears itself out, not out of anger, but to let go. The looking is over. The stickers don't stay on. The secret is all that's left, the calm that was there all along. This is where you can find rest, not in doing or fixing, but in letting go of the seeker. The person who needed to go somewhere. The person who was trying to get some rest. The one who was almost there, but never quite got there. That self was made of thoughts. The koan also shows in a subtle way that thought can't understand what is being asked. If you're lying in bed and think, who is trying to sleep? Really ask it, not to answer, but to find out more. The whole structure of effort starts to fall apart, because people who try to sleep don't get it. It comes when you give up trying. It happens when no effort is made, in the place where the doer goes away. You might notice that the body is quieter when you really think about the question. It didn't do that because you told it to. It did it because the person who identifies does. And when that identity goes away, the stress has nowhere to go. It gets softer on its own. You don't have to ask the question over and over again. It can be whispered once inside your head, and then there is quiet. A way of hearing, a way to rest in the unknown. It's okay if thoughts come up again. You come back. Not to a reply, but to the openness that the question made. The point is that this is open. It is what the mind has been looking for without being aware of it. A place where it doesn't need to do anything, where it doesn't need to explain, where it doesn't need to get to. Just this, right now. Take a deep breath and being aware of everything. When you really think about the question, the self starts to loosen up. Not in a scary way, not in the sense of going away, but in a softer way. The person who was running things before is no longer in charge, and all that's left is simple being. No, not inactive, not empty, but there, even if thoughts come back, no matter how you feel. You ask them all the same thing. Who is going through this? One more person? Once more, the mind stops. The comment goes out, not by force, but by being clear. It's not hard work that makes the koan work. It's room. It gets rid of the need to control the experience. It gets rid of the idea that the mind has to be in charge of what happens. And when you let go, you can rest in the best way, by not having to be someone else. In Zen, this is called effortless effort, or the practice that does itself. There's no need to hold a pose. There's no need to get to a state. All you have to do is go back to the question. Leave the question open. It should lead you back to the presence that doesn't change, no matter what thoughts come up. And this is a place where sleep might come. It might not happen, though, but the pain around it goes away, because there is no longer a need to achieve. The person who weighed everything has left the room, and all that's left is the quiet spirit below it all. This presence doesn't need to be made better. It's not hungry for the future. It doesn't judge the present. It is what it is. And it's clear that it's always been here the more you rest in it. It was just a matter of thought. The looking was just taking my attention away from it. You now understand. It was never about sleep in the koan. It had to do with freedom, from the story, because of the stress, from the made-up self. And when you're free, rest comes easily, like water. Of course, in silence, not being pushed to. As you lie still tonight, let the question, who is trying to sleep, come to you. After that, listen, not with your head, because you know. Let the silence speak. Let the question go away and be there. Give the search a break. And let the one who stays, the one who doesn't change or have a name, just be. The mind has looked into the koan's quiet mirror, and the question, who is trying to sleep, has been asked. Has broken down the seeker's illusion. What's left is a calm, open awareness. But even though it's quiet, a faint sound of the day may still be there. Instead of thoughts racing toward the future, they come in the form of reflections going around the past. The mind may start to play over the events of the day, but this time with judgment instead of presence. What went wrong? What ought to have been different? Not enough of what? If you don't do anything about it, that quiet judgment turns into a weight that makes your body tight and your mind foggy. But Buddhism has a different way. It teaches people to start their day with kindness instead of criticism. This is not a way to improve yourself. It's not about fixing mistakes or figuring out what went well. There is a soft turning inward, a nice review, a way to look at every part of the day, even the messy parts, with interest instead of judgment. The goal is not to change the past, but to comprehend it, to get a good look, to smooth out the edges, to end the day in peace instead of shows. Buddhists believe that reflection is a powerful way to grow in understanding, not to judge, not to punish, but to see where the mind stuck, the heart tensed up, and the purpose slipped. This isn't being weak. This is smart. It takes respect to be able to see clearly without judging others. Rest your body at the start of this exercise. You can lie down or sit down as you please. Relax your breath and make it steady. After that, slowly bring the day back, one moment at a time. Start in the morning. Slowly ask yourself, where was I present? Where did I hurry? Where did I carefully talk? What part of my response did I not pause? Take note of what comes up, but don't hold on to it. Let it go by like the view from a train that is going. Be kind when something painful comes up. Say in your head, that was hard. I see it. If something happy comes up, feel it all the way. Not to cling, but to understand. Say something like, that was lovely. It's not important to say whether something is good or bad. It's important to just be there without adding to the weight. This testimony is very important because most ruminating isn't caused by the events themselves, but by how the mind sees them, the way it goes around and around, what it does to punish, in what way it says what should have been. But the stress starts to go away when you just look at the moment without adding a story. The guilt starts to go away. The day turns out to be exactly what it was, a gathering of short-lived events, each one a lesson. This gentle review will change the way you feel about the past the more you do it. You start to understand that even your most angry or upset times were not signs of failure, but of pain. That your anger came from being tired, that you forgot things because you were busy, not because you didn't want to, that your harsh words came from needs you weren't meeting for yourself. Now is not the time for excuses. It's about getting it. And having understanding makes room, a place to heal, a place to rest. Judgment gets stricter. There is less curiosity. You failed again, says judgment. What was really going on at that time, asks curiosity. When curiosity asks, what did I need when I said that? Judgment replies, you're not good enough. This change is strong because it makes the heart feel better. It stops the habit of punishing yourself inside. It makes learning possible in a way that doesn't hurt. Pay attention to what your body does as you go through the review of your day. Take notice of where you tense up when you remember certain things. Take note of where you soften when other people do. Yes, this is also information. The mind won't let the body store what it wants to, and the body starts to let go when you hold these memories lightly. You can also include other people in this practice, but you don't have to say anything. You can just give compassion in silence. Think about someone you may have hurt. Say to yourself, I recognize that moment. May they rest in peace. Think of someone who helped you. Do not say, may they be well. This is not for them, it's for you. To let go of what you're holding on to. Be kind when your mind might have been stuck on anger or guilt. This method is not a straight line. The review may feel soft and clear some days. On other days, the mind might fight back. It's all right. It's not important to win. To return is the point. Over and over, with a soft touch, with being there. Being aware that the present moment is where healing takes place. Plus, the more you do this, the less the past affects your sleep, because the mind doesn't have to keep going around and around. It's been seen, it was heard, it has been met with understanding, which is more than just thought. As you start to fall asleep, you don't try to push the day away. Instead, you gently put it down. Putting a bunch of leaves by the door is like that. To let be, not to ignore. This makes the body react when it feels it. It calms down. It believes it is now safe. That there is nothing secret. That the day has been recognized and let go of. This is what rest is really for. Not making it look like the day was simple, but taking it on without fear, not by hurting yourself. Don't let the past weigh you down more than it needs to. Let this review be like taking a present out of the box. You have no idea what each memory holds. You open it slowly, though. Be careful, not in a hurry. And no matter what you find, you meet it with the same calm presence. It's not quiet that changes the night, but softness. Not run away, but understand. This is how you should end the day. Not with anger, but with respect. Not with blame, but with air. You don't have to remember the day again to let it go. It's enough to just see it clearly, be kind to it, and let it go. And as time goes by, you stay. Not having the weight of what happened, but being still because you know the truth. That quiet is now your pillow. Your peace is in that silence. Hold on to it. Allow it to carry you to rest. Be still and let it teach you that today doesn't have to be perfect for it to be complete. And once the day has been slowly opened, when kindness has softened its edges instead of criticism having hardened them, something deeper starts to show itself. The stories that looked so clear start to get fuzzy. The highs and lows lose their hold. There is a strong question that needs to be asked in this quiet fading. Not what happened, but how much of it really matters. What if the day's real weight wasn't in the details? What if the idea that it was important was always a lie? It's not about acting like nothing is wrong. It's about being able to see where the mind overstates what it sees every day. The Buddhist way gives you a view that is both humbling and freeing. Today's events, whether they made you stronger or weaker, will not last forever. It has already broken down. Most of the things that seem important right now will not matter much in the sun. It's easier to sleep after seeing this, not because the events are fixed, but because they don't hurt as much. Day names are often made up in the mind. A good day shows that things are getting better. A bad day is proof that you failed. But Buddhists believe that this attachment to result is what causes suffering. It's the idea that what you do every day makes you who you are, that you are the claim you made, that you are the date that was missed, that you are the praise you got. This is how the mind turns moments that were meant to pass into a prison. But the day's events, everything that was said, done, or delayed, and every feeling felt, are all just weather. It moves, changes. It's not the sky. It's not what makes you who you are. And something calms you down when you start to see your day as clouds moving across a big sky. You don't have to hold on anymore. To keep your name safe, you no longer have to look over every little thing. This is why holding on to the day makes things tense, because the mind thinks it has to move forward in time all the time, that the day was too important to miss, that sleep has to wait until the whole thing is looked at. But Buddhist practice tells you to take a step back, to not see your life as a collection of days that went well or badly, but as a big story that is still being told, with no one day having the final say. This doesn't mean that nothing important happened that day. That means those things aren't fixed, not making clear the end of time. So, once you understand that, you stop using the day to show something to yourself. You stop using it to show who you are. You start to accept the day for what it was, an event that is over. Even the wins you've had today don't belong to you. They were helped by a lot of different factors: the time, the mood, the weather, and the help you got. Even your problems were not just yours. They were formed by old habits, stress, and tiredness, as well as the way that causes and effects change over time. This is what Buddhists call dependent origination. Being aware that nothing comes about on its own, that every second is a web. When you see this, you start to feel less need to take everything personally. It can help you to remember this when you're lying down at night, stressed out about what went wrong or what happened too quickly. You can tell yourself, that was only a day. Changes that happen over time. An order of feelings and thoughts. I don't have to carry it through the night. This is where sleep turns into a holy way to let go. Not of memory, but of who owns what. Not of experience, but of who you are. Today, you're not. You're not the pain of it. You are not its praise. You are where everything happened. That room has never been used before. Being aware of this helps the body let go, because what the mind thinks affects the nerve system. Rest is dangerous if the day is seen as important. But if you think of the day as a moment that is already ending, it's easy to rest. The body stops getting ready to do something else. The mind stops trying to figure out what it can't figure out. You're not less careful because you're becoming softer. It helps you learn, because you don't have to waste time and energy keeping a day's history alive. Being present is what you do. To live fully, you must first let go fully. That's the beat of life. Breathe in and breathe out. Let go, please. When your thought wanders back to a conversation you had earlier, remind yourself that that moment is no longer here. If something unfinished comes up again, tell it this truth. That road never ends. When it makes today seem more important, remind yourself that the sky is big and that was just one cloud. When you look at the day through this lens, even the worst parts start to hurt less. Not because they can't have it, but because it's not being held so tightly. You start to understand that nobody feels regret, sadness, or confusion for a long time. They don't make you who you are. They went right through you. They're no longer there. It's possible to fall asleep spiritually with this message. Rest not only in the body, but also in the mind. It changes you from someone trying to keep their life together to someone watching their life happen. Dissociation is not what this is. This makes sense, being sure that nothing has to be held overnight. The day should go away like a coat at the door. Take it off one moment at a time. The message you didn't send, the things you wish you hadn't said, the happiness that didn't last long enough. Let them all go back to the river of life, not turned down, not pushed down. They were just seen for what they are, passing. What's left after they're gone? Not a blank space. There is no gap. But being aware, that part of you that watched the day but didn't become it, the part of you that doesn't judge your worth by how well you do or how poorly you do, that part of you that knows how to sleep without being told. This is what the night is for, not just getting better, but starting over. You let go of the old shape to make room for the new one. You gave up the person you were at noon to meet the person you are now. That's the lovely thing about change. It doesn't get rid of you. You can start over with it. Let this moment be the start. Let the breath show the change. Allow the body to feel free. You don't have power over the next day. You are not in charge of keeping this one safe. You are only supposed to rest, to believe, so that the sky can get clear, because it's easy to think that today is very important. It holds you back. But the truth is light. It helps you remember that today's events should not be repeated unless they teach peace. Use this as your guide. You can remember what brought peace. You can let go of what caused the stress. You don't have to carry around what you learned. You can deal with what you regret with kindness. But let go of the need to describe yourself by a single day. The sky has never told the cloud to stay. Your mind has never been asked to keep score by your soul. Throw away anything that doesn't need to be held. Don't tell any stories at night. Allow yourself to let go with each breath. This is not the end of the story. This is a comeback. For the self that is never moved by anything, to the silence that doesn't keep track of time. Thanks to the awareness that sees the days come and go without getting lost. Today, you're not. You were never that. You are what's left over when the day is over. That's enough. There is one last offer left now that the weight of the day has been lifted. The stories have been softened, the identity has been loosened, and the need to define yourself during the day has gone away. Not to reach anymore, not to think too much, not even to guide. Why? Because deep down, rest doesn't start in the mind, it starts in the body. And there's something you may have forgotten. The body already knows how to rest. Long before thoughts began to swirl, long before habits and beliefs were built around the struggle of sleep, your body was already tuned to rhythms much older than your thoughts. Taking a breath, slowing, giving up. You don't need to learn these skills. They come from feelings. They are memories that are saved in your cells, your nervous system, and the quiet intelligence that has been running your body since birth. It doesn't matter if the body knows how to rest. It depends on whether the mind believes it can do that. When it's hard to sleep, the mind that thinks too much steps in to help. It tries to figure out rest like a puzzle. It looks for the best posture, timing, rituals, and methods. The body is watched, measured, and judged. But this work causes stress. This watching turns into a bother. You can't get rest just by thinking about it. You can do it if you take a step back and remember what your body already knows. In Buddhist thought, there is a gentle wisdom in trusting what is normal. The message is not to force awakening, but to remove the obstacles that block it. Similarly, you don't have to teach your body how to let go. It needs to be okay. The mind needs to stop getting in the way. It needs room to return, which is something it has always known how to do. Begin here, with air. Not in charge of it, not putting it in, just taking note. Is it short or deep, tight or soft? It really does care about you, no matter what it is. It has already changed. The air is not flat. That thing is smart. Every time you breathe in and out, You're following an old routine that is meant to change your state from alert to still. This isn't a method. The body is getting back to its own pace. There are two states of the nerve system, one to do things and one to rest. It's automatic for the body to move from one to the other. But thoughts can get in the way. You can't think your way to a state of rest, which is called parasympathetic activity. It's okay as long as the overthinking stops trying to handle things that don't need to be managed. Rest the way your body tells you to. Notice how your heart beats less quickly when you lie still. The muscles start to get looser. The weather starts to change. There is no order given. There isn't any plan. The body figures out what the signal means and starts to change. Not teaching the body is hard. It's getting out of its way that's hard. You can help this process along by showing trust instead of fear. By telling yourself, you know what to do, and by lowering the voice that wants to get in the way. That sound isn't bad. It's scared. It's going to help. But it sounds like someone talking too loudly in a library. It breaks up the peace that it's trying to keep. You don't need to shut down your mind. Let it get tired on its own. Listen to what your body is telling you. A lot of people also believe that you have to work for your rest. Getting that sleep is a treat. The body doesn't think that, though. It knows that it needs to rest. It knows that being clear, healthy, and at peace starts with being there. When you connect with this truth, it's easier to rest. Before sitting down, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to show that you deserve it. You are a body of people. That's enough. Stop seeing rest as a chore. This is one of the most helpful changes you can make. When you stop trying to handle everything, whenever you stop seeing the body as a stubborn machine and begin to see it as a live brain, a very old forest, a river that flows, something that moves, sounds, and times in its own way. This beat is also calm. There is no need to hurry. It is okay to be not perfect. If you've been having trouble sleeping, that rhythm is still there. It's been waiting under all the stress, ready for the mind to relax. We are waiting for the breath to get deeper, just waiting for you to remember that you are connected to nature. You can draw attention to parts of the body that are still tense, not to fix them. To tell someone you are safe now, though, in the belly, forehead. People often feel stressed in these places for a long time after the event is over. Tell the body that the time has come and gone. There is no risk in that rest, that it's now safe to let go. When you trust your body in this way, everything changes, because it takes the stress off of the head. Everything doesn't have to be run by the mind. It doesn't need to keep an eye on sleep like a guard. It can take a step back. It can also rest, because the body, which is soft, stable, and quiet, has it covered. And the connection between your mind and body starts to change as you rest in that knowing. Instead of going against the body's beat, the mind starts to follow it. It stops being critical of the process and starts to pay attention to it. Listening is the first step toward getting better, for everything, not just sleep, because sleep is more than just not being awake. It's the return to something more honest, that part of you that doesn't use words, the part that lives on its own, that gets better on its own, that understands what you need to do even when you don't. Rest like this doesn't always happen right away. It's true, though, And it will take less work the more you connect with it. The more you sleep, the better it will be, not as a prize, but as a reward. To the knowledge you were born with, the beat that didn't go away, the part of you that knows how to relax even when everyone else does not. That should be enough for tonight. Bring your attention back to your body with your breath. Let your body take you back to its knowledge. Trust that you don't have to look for rest. There's already something there, on its way to you already. Just stop going away. Don't need to bother. There's no need to lead. Listen. Just get softer. Just let go of the idea that you have to make rest happen. It only needs to be okay to do. The body knows. The body knew all the time. Follow it back to your house. Now that the body has been trusted again, now that rest can happen in its own way, without being messed with or managed, a new door quietly opens. One that doesn't need you to be awake or use thinking. One that hides behind the eyes and in the soft, dark places of the night. This is where dreams start to talk, not as noise or random echoes, but as quiet messages, not of chaos, but of being good. Most people think that dreams are just random brain activity, old thoughts, or blown-out fears that happen while they sleep. But that's not how Buddhists see dreams. They think dreams can teach us things. They don't make sense. They're not sounds in the background. They mean something. They are lessons, not always straightforward, not always easy to see. However, all insights come from the same place, deep inside. The dream is not different from you. You don't have it happen to you. It's you. It's your mind talking to you through signs instead of words. And when it's met with interest instead of dismissal, it starts to show what it means. It's not like a book, but like a mirror. In Buddhist thought, dreams are often seen as messages from the subconscious, or more correctly, from the mind that is not conscious. Deeper parts of the mind start to rise when the aware mind is at rest. What hasn't been dealt with, pushed down, or avoided starts to take new forms as images, stories, and feelings. Not to make things hard for you, but to show you something. This showing doesn't always feel good. A dream could make you feel scared, or loss, or confusion. Oh, but it's not a sentence. It's a thought. It is the mind's attempt to put together things that have been broken up, to say the truth in a way that the ego can't understand. Because you don't change when you're asleep. You are no longer being performed. No longer are you pushing. That's how the words get through. One big change that needs to be made is to stop calling goals just dreams. That phrase becomes a wall. It stops the investigation. It says, "This is not helpful." That being said, what if every dream, even the weird and scary ones, taught us something? This doesn't mean reading your dreams into the future. It means listening to them in a new way as you turn toward them. Wanting to know, what does this dream mean about how I feel? What does it tell me about the things I try to avoid? What does it say about my views, my fears, my hopes, and the people I love? Dreams are like koans that you hear at night when you look at them through the lens of Dharma. Strange, symbolic, and sometimes hard to understand, but strong. They don't talk about facts. They use figures of speech. And that's what makes them work. They don't follow logic. They don't go over the top. They get right to the heart of what the mind is thinking. People who follow many types of Buddhism are told to pay attention to their dreams. This isn't because dreams are more important than real life, but because They are made of the same mind. What you see in your dreams is not less real. It's just real in a different way. It comes from the same parts of your mind that shape how you see things when you're awake. You're only now seeing them without their masks on. Because of this, dreams are very helpful for understanding karma, not as a punishment, but as a way of showing how things happen. Things you hold on to during the day, like feelings and ideas you try to hide, become the seeds that grow while you sleep. Those dreams can also show you what's still going on below the surface if you pay attention. For instance, the goal isn't to push away anger that shows up in a dream. Now the question is, where does this anger still live in me? You don't have to run away from your fears. You ask me what I'm still holding on to in my life. Whenever you feel calm, remember that you can still find joy even when your mind is quiet. Attachments can also be shown in dreams. The holding on to results, the worry about giving up. The mind won't let go of the personality. It's all there. It's just dressed up in pictures instead of words. When you look at those pictures with Buddhist presence, awareness that doesn't judge, curiosity and compassion, you start to learn not only about the dream, but also about yourself. This isn't about becoming too focused on meaning. It's about letting your dreams guide your work, taking note of their themes, seeing how they behave, trusting that the things that rise during sleep are not random. It's important. It might not always be clear, but it always brings you something. But dreams can also give you straight information. In your dream, you might feel kindness in a way that seems more real than when you're awake. You might cry in your dream and feel better when you wake up. You might wake up with more courage to face something you've been putting off. These aren't just dreams. These are lessons. Your mind will teach you. Everything is made by the mind, according to the Buddha. That our experience, whether we're awake or sleeping, is shaped by how we see things, that nothing is hidden from view. This means that you can't find the knowledge you want somewhere else. It is already talking, even while you sleep. You don't have to remember every dream. There's no need to record everything. You only need to change how you relate to what shows up, not brushing it off. Do not hold on to it. Just taking note, with being there, being honest, being ready to ask in a soft voice, "What are you trying to show me?" Being aware of your dreams in this way makes your link to your inner world stronger. The night becomes a part of your spiritual path. It turns rest into more than just a time to heal. It makes you think. You start to believe that sleep is not a break from being aware, but extra time for being aware. Even if the dreams aren't clear or seem broken up or strange, they are still a way to practice, because they tell you that things change over time. Moments just keep going by. The story changes. The scene goes away, like when you're awake. The dream tells you that nothing is real. Nothing stays. When you think about this thought every night, it becomes part of your wisdom. Tonight should be a gentle go back to this truth, that there is life in the night. It's full. That your dreams aren't wrong. They bring messages. That you don't have to make people understand. All you have to do is show up, and the lessons will come from being there. Not always easy to see, not always in comfort, but always from the inside, always shaped by what is truest, because the mind is honest when it is left alone to talk. Don't worry about your dreams tonight. They're not there to bother you. They look like reflections. Believe them. Take what they say to heart. Let them show you things that you can't see during the day. There's no chance in them. They're not wrong. They are just one more sound in the void. There's another dark mirror, one more step on the way. Pay attention. Also, learn. Even here, right now, even when you're asleep. And once you're aware of the subtle lessons hidden in your dreams and start to see your mind as not chaotic but deeply instructive, you'll feel a gentle call to a deeper stillness. It's not another method or way of thinking. It's a gentle invitation to get even closer to silence. The next exercise is a simple but powerful return to silence. It's not quiet as nothingness. It's silence as safety. It's the quiet before bed, when you turn off all outward stimuli on purpose, that tells your body and mind that the day is over and it's time to rest.